Hey, ladies. Thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to the end of 2022. We're headed into 2023, but we wanted to do on this channel a little bit of a countdown. It's not really a countdown, it's more of a just some of the biggest stories and topics that have happened this year. Some of the stories we're talking about are going to be, global economic issues. Some of the stories are going to actually focus on Black women, Black YouTube, Black social media, period. But first of all, I got a special guest. She is inspirational. She is beautiful. She gives such great advice. And I want to welcome to the platform Mocha Mommy. Hello, Mocha Mommy.
Hi there. I'm so excited to do this. Black Women Making Money is one of my favorite YouTube channels, and I am so proud of how your platform has grown.
Thank you so much. And I couldn't have done it without you and so many other people shouting me out. So I definitely want to thank you. I wanted to have a co-host for this, and I was kind of nervous to reach out to you because I'm like, I don't know if she'll do it. But I reached out to you and you were so gracious to say yes, that you would come and have this discussion with me. So everybody, as you're coming in, please hit the like button. Please share the stream. Today should be really a lot of fun as well as educational. So we're going to say edutainment for today. Selfish Love is in the building saying two of my faves. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, my dear. Also, for everybody, I'm going to be dropping the StreamYard link. So if you decide you want to come up and hang out with us, you are definitely able to do that as well. So, Mocha Mommy, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and why you actually started your channel on YouTube?
Okay. I started my channel on YouTube basically during the quarantine. I noticed more and more people were spending time online, and sometimes I was, chiming into other live streams while at work because I just realized that there was a lot of bad information out there. And I wanted to make sure I set things straight about economics, personal development, professionalism. And then that turned into a channel. And I'm so grateful to have about 2,500 subscribers. And it's been so far, it's been a really big journey. And it's interesting having so many subscribers that are a lot younger than myself. But then I have a lot of cool aunties in my comment section who also give a lot of great feedback, because I know that so many times you'll have people who are listening on their parents' device or device from school. And I'm grateful for all of you ladies who are able to comment and participate.
Yeah, you and I have something in common, and we were talking about that backstage, is that the numbers of young people that we have listening to us, and how much we respect young people, and we also want to guide them, and how careful we are with our words and our commentary and our advice, to young women. So I definitely want to give a special shout out to the young ladies who are navigating this financial path, and just being young, period. But also saying hey to the cool aunties that are out there. Computer and Coin, we were talking about you earlier today, my dear. So she's saying, hey, Cherie and Mocha Mommy, good
Good
afternoon
luck
to
against the Panthers
everybody.
tonight. Your Canes are playing.
Yes, everybody, please like the video, share the live. Looking forward to the convo. So I didn't want all of the topics today to be serious, but we are going to have 20 financial lessons that we're sharing from 2022. And I think that, some of them will be controversial. Some of them will be super light and fun. I will also say as well that number 12 is my favorite. So, if anything, y'all can stick around for number 12, and I'm sure you all will get a good laugh out of that one as well. So, Computer and Coin is saying, yes, go Canes. So, all right. So, Mocha Mommy, let's start off with actually, before we get to the 20 lessons, let's start off with some of the deaths this year. And
Yeah.
we've had a lot of deaths. I didn't obviously put all the pictures on here. We are going to come back and talk about Shanquella Robinson specifically, but I still wanted to put her picture on this slide. But um, you know, we had Tracy Braxton from the Braxton Sisters. A lot of people, I didn't realize how many people really liked Tracy Braxton. And, going back and looking at a couple of the clips that I've seen of her, how much she was the favorite sister because people felt she was so relatable. She was married to the same man for a couple of decades, I think. She had one child with him. And if anything, she was kind of like the model Black woman. What do you think about that, Mocha Mommy?
Yeah, because I never watched Braxton Family Values.
Mhm.
I My heart just went out to that family because, I lost a sister years ago, and it still is really hard even years later because how, those milestone events when you can't celebrate it with your sister that you would have otherwise done. And I mean, yeah, I was, and then just the fact that she was so young of
Mhm.
of a of a of an illness that some of us don't even really get screened for. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's something else.
Yeah, yeah. So, a couple of other people that are on here, the Queen, if you care about that, I didn't care, but.
Uh, yeah. I mean, it had a global impact, I mean,
It did
so
have a
yeah.
global impact. It was very controversial. Person I did really, really love and enjoy was Betty White. You know, The
Yeah.
Golden Girls was one of my favorite shows growing up, and Rose Nyland was just so funny.
Right. Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Yeah. Other people here, Irene Cara, Nichelle
Mm.
Nichols. One of the interesting things about Nichelle Nichols is after the first season of Star Trek in the 1960s, she wanted to quit the show. And it was Martin Luther King who said, "You cannot quit the show because it's important for people to see a Black person on this show representing science and technology and futuristic things." And it was because of MLK that Nichelle Nichols stayed on Star Trek, which, of course, we all know the impact that Star Trek has had. And one of the things that I feel is that without someone like Nichelle Nichols and Sidney Poitier being, the baseline in the 60s, there would have never been the Huxtables in the 80s, which I believe brought us the Obamas in the 2010s.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
Yeah.
And I just felt like Nichelle Nichols, like every nerdy Black girl I know was her for Halloween at least some point. At one
Mhm.
point was her for Halloween. I mean, I felt like she really did. And, my mom was in science and technology in the 60s and 70s, when they were quote unquote hidden figures. And they didn't just work for NASA, they worked for like Dow Chemical and Kimberly Clark and GE. There were Black women
Mhm.
behind the scenes in STEM as a
Mhm.
result of Nichelle Nichols. I mean, her impact. I mean, she was more than a Halloween costume and a character on the show. She really
Absolutely.
did influence a lot of Black women.
Absolutely. And the fact that I think she was the only woman on the show, period, and the fact that they chose a Black woman for that position is in the 60s was groundbreaking. It was absolutely groundbreaking. So, also on here is one of my other favorite actresses. I love Good Murder, She Wrote. So, just Angela Lansbury. And
Yeah.
um, you have something to say about that?
Yeah, I had just released a video about the movies that I watched over the break, and she had an appearance in the movie The Glass Onion,
Hmm.
and it was kind of like a spoof on like TV detectives playing a detective game with a real detective,
Hmm.
and I was like, wow, and then of course the Beauty and the Beast 35th anniversary, she was Mrs.
Yes.
Potts,
She was Mrs. Potts. Yeah.
yeah, and then just like having to remember her. Yeah, I loved Angela Lansbury as well.
Yeah, I was a big fan of her. Well, I was a big fan of Murder, She Wrote. I won't say that I, like, followed everything that she did, but, Level Up Single Mom, "Hey, how are you?" Saying, "Wow, all these deaths this year, it has been a time." There were more deaths than this, I didn't put them all on here, but, Natural Hair is saying, "Good afternoon, I love you guys." Well, we love you back. We wanna make sure that everybody gives us a thumbs up, like the stream, and also share, 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 the stream. The final two people up at the top, obviously Lauren Smith Fields. I don't know if we ever really know what happened, or if they're still investigating that. But obviously, we definitely want to RIP to her and Shanquella Robinson. We're going to talk about a little later on because her death really did impact, especially Black women. Would you have anything? I know Kevin Samuels is not on here, like
And yesterday we just found out about Pele, the soccer player, Pele, right
oh,
at the heels
okay.
of the World Cup. Yeah, he just passed away
Wow.
yesterday. Yeah.
Wow. I also want to say to everybody, StreamYard link is on here. So if there are any stories that you want to come and talk about, you can definitely come hop on the stream. So let's kind of move here to the very first thing was the McDonald's skit. I know we're starting off with the bang. Y'all are like, we came here for sophisticated stuff, Cherie. Well, this is going to spill into a sophisticated Black woman's issue. Okay. So just, let's start from the beginning though. If you don't remember what the McDonald's skit is, I'm going to stop my screen here and I'm going to actually refresh your memory. Refresh your memory here with a video here about what was happening here, and this is going to be for about a minute.
My baby daddy come here with one meal for my child, but I have 3 other kids. We have 1 kid together, but he only want to come and bring one thing to McDonald's. But what about my other kids? How come you can't feed my other kids at McDonald's though? Like that's bogus as hell. Like you're not gonna sit here and make my other kids feel left out, and you're only bringing one child something to eat. Look, there you go. And I bet you he only got one thing in there.
I'm exposing. Everybody think you such a motherfucking good daddy. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're foolish in this bullshit. You only come here with one piece of food for one child.
The child that's mine, silly.
No, that's dumb that you can't feed the other kids. Don't feed nobody at all. Then he can't take that. He can't eat it.
Maybe if you had 1 or 2, I could maybe. You got it's 3 extra kids. What the? You all like going to my mother account, spending money on all those kids. Them not my kids.
Them are your kids' siblings, though. No, you know what? Fine. Give it here.
Thank you.
Give it here.
Bro.
Give it here.
Kids,
Give it here.
You so stupid.
Done. He ain't eating this. You.
Why don't you just do that?
Because you ain't bringing up for all the other kids. You stupid.
Okay. That's enough of that. So, Selfish Love is saying, Cherie, I can't believe you brought this back. I certainly did. Yes, I did, because I have a point for us as educated, sophisticated, middle class, upper middle class women. So Computer and Coin is saying, Lord, I forgot about the Mickey D skit. It even made my dad upset that the man didn't buy food for all the kids. And of course, Mocha Mommy is saying, oh Lord, and hey ladies. Hey, dark and lovely. Good to see you. Everybody, don't forget to thumbs up. And if you want to talk about any of these stories, definitely hit the StreamYard link. So, why did I bring this up? First of all, I brought it up because we know within the Black social media community, there's always been a sectioning off of the men between the Pookies and Ray Rays and the educated lames. And the educated lames had a ton to say about this. And it was quite telling. I think that beyond this just being like, oh, this is some hood stuff or whatever, I think that this is a moral issue. And Uppity Unicorn actually did a stream where she talked about men not seeing the community of kids as part of their village, you know? So, you know, I'm not saying he's right, this guy in the skit is right or wrong. I am saying that if you are talking with people with regards to how they view this, it tells you a lot about who they are and what they're going to do in the future. If you already have a child and you're dating a man and, he says, "Well, I would only buy for my kid if we broke up," that's telling you a lot about him. And you have to decide as a woman if that is something that you want to pursue with him. But I do think that this was an important discussion for us as Black women making money. Let's just say that. So, Mocha Mommy, what are your thoughts with regards to this?
Well, I think when it comes to like these kind of viral issues, we had talked about that, how you have to kind of take a step back and see how it plays out.
Mhm.
So it revealed two things. Like you said, first of all, I thought there was a kind of like a lack of courtesy. Like clearly, if he had a relationship with a mom, he probably had a relationship with the kids at this point, at some
Mhm.
point.
Mhm.
And then for that relationship to dissolve and for those kids to be forgotten about too when that relationship dissolved, again, just really showed, his immaturity. And I also know that that's like an issue if you have a kid with someone or a man has a child with someone and that you're paying child support, but the other baby daddies maybe aren't. But I think what this said also to me was sparking the outrage algorithm. And, how it's a profitable thing to piss people off. And, there's a lot of information about how to grow on YouTube. And, YouTube's going to be making a lot of changes, come 2023. Sparking that outrage algorithm is very profitable. And understand, Black women, that you're a huge market of the outrage algorithm. So people are going to be saying things to purposefully make you angry because they make money off of your anger. So
You are
that's
absolutely right.
yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was speaking with a very well-known, if I said his name, you all would know who he is, a very well-known YouTuber. And he said that we were doing an interview. He was interviewing me for a project that I had. And he said that there were certain keywords that he wanted to use. One of them is white supremacy. And I'm like, look, I understand white supremacy is real, but I really don't
Mm,
associate with stuff like that. And he
right.
said, yes, but my audience thrives on that. So you're right when you talk about outrage algorithm. People put modern women in everything because it sparks outrage, or palm colored people because it sparks, outrage or things like that. And your view is giving them money. Your view is giving them super chats. And, you don't think it is, but it does. And one of the things you said, Mocha Mommy, was you had talked, I think it was yesterday or a couple of days ago, about you weren't going to review a certain video
Yes. Uh-huh. Right.
because you said it's not worth my time. That's 10 minutes I can never get back.
Yeah. And I feel like some people want the reaction. And
Mhm.
I'm like, that person's not worth the reaction because and there's a part of me that thinks that, especially now, if you've ever read like the YouTube secrets or those books that are out now on Amazon and Audible, they almost are telling you like there are people who don't believe what they're doing or saying. They're just doing it to spark outrage. And, I know Steven Jackson, the basketball player, that's another one,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Didn't get a commentating contract. So he started sparking the outrage algorithm and now has a podcast. And believe it or not, that's where most of his money's coming from. More so
Mhm.
than investments, more so than the appearances on the 3-on-3 league, more so than commentating that podcast. So the outrage algorithm is really profitable for some people. And I know that, this skit was kind of about baby mamas and baby daddies, but I mean, I think it just goes to show you how the outrage algorithm really, really is profitable. And they really do target you, Black women.
Yeah, they do. Hey, God bless. Good to see you. Everybody, don't forget to thumbs up the video. And also, the StreamYard link is pinned in the chat. So, if any of you want to come and talk about any specific story that we have, definitely feel free to do that. So, Natural Hair is saying, I learned from number one to wait and see what happens. I thought this was real when it first came out. Yeah, a lot of people did. And I honestly, I thought it was real too, but I don't really comment on stuff like this. But then it came out later on that this young lady is the one who does these skits. So, um, Arena's saying, great point. That's why we should disengage from certain things. Selfish Love is saying, yes, we need to ignore certain things. Let our life we lead needs to be the clapback.
Amen.
Yes. God bless is saying, hate speech toward Black women always sells, unfortunately. Yep. Unless we starve it out. Unless we starve it out. We have to starve it out by not paying attention to it. Dark and Lovely is saying, we need to force the algorithm to change. Let's simply click those three little dots and hit ignore, not interested. That is definitely what I do. That is definitely what I do. Okay, let's go to number 2. Story number 2 is Wendy Williams versus Wells Fargo. So if you don't know what's happening with Wendy Williams, she obviously, her health is declining. People think she has dementia, things like that. Well, earlier this year, I think it came out that Wells Fargo put a stop on her bank account because they felt like people were taking advantage of Wendy and spending her money, without Wendy's permission and without Wendy being in her right mind. And I thought, this whole scenario is very interesting for several factors from a financial point of view. Number one, first of all, I miss Wendy Williams. I miss her take on gossip. I didn't care if she got it right or wrong, but Wendy Williams was definitely a pioneer. Wendy Williams is also, I always tell you ladies, like, people make money in all sorts of different ways. This is a woman who made money from radio and gossip when radio was not a very profitable career. So, shout out to Wendy Williams and her trailblazing. But number one, never, ever, 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 ever keep all of your money in one bank.
That was the thing that concerned me the most. Like, what? Like, who has one bank in one bank? I don't know. That was the thing that I was like, she doesn't have, because I know some of us being military, we were military. We had to have several banks. We had to have a bank that was close by, in case we needed access to cash. But then, you have the big military banks that really incentivize your service. Mm-hmm. So we've always had more than one bank. And that was the thing that concerned me the most about this story. Like, she has her money only with one bank.
Yeah, so Computer and Coin brings up a good point. I hadn't thought about this. I think Wendy is playing a long game with Kevin Jr., and Sharina to protect her financial interests. Chestnut checkers. I normally would agree with you, but Wendy has been on a downturn for so long that I'm not certain that that's the case with her. But I do agree with the chestnut checkers, my dear. And I do agree that if she truly is in her right mind and she's doing this to protect her financial interests, she is super smart to, pretend she has dementia and have Wells Fargo take this to court. So yeah. The other thing is obviously people leeching off of you. We saw recently that Kevin Jr., the son, was given $100,000 in order to pay rent for a year. And he, has recently been evicted, right? Because, and he lived in the apartment for like well beyond a year. Quite frankly, he could have taken $100,000 and that could have been a down payment on a good house. Yes. Or he could have gotten a land with, with a little trailer on it and not had a mortgage at all. But,
exactly.
So that was story number 2. What else do you have, Mocha Mommy, before we move on to story number 3?
Yeah, ladies, my grandmother used to say that, never keep all your eggs in one basket. Like, it's in our best interest to have different financial institutions, because not just for your saving, also different financial institutions for lending. You know, your credit union, then your big market bank, something local that's close by your house. I mean, I just think it's always a good idea to have multiple bank accounts.
Yeah. I have one other aspect to this story. There's this woman, Lori Schill, who is the face of this court case from Wells Fargo's point of view. She was the one that was managing Wendy's money from the Wells Fargo perspective. And recently she did an interview where she said that at one point Wells Fargo was paying for her security. However, they've stopped paying for her security, yet she and her child, because she's a single mother, are still getting, I don't know if it's death threats or just threats in general about why did you do this with Wendy's money? So as you are navigating corporate and you think you want to deal with celebrity, this, celebrity, that, I don't care if they're real celebrities or social media celebrities, understand that if, especially in the Black community, if the public turns its back on you and they think that you are the problem and the corporation doesn't back you financially, that could also bankrupt you as well. This woman now has
Yeah.
to pay for her own security for her and her child, or, have an issue with they're not secure and somebody finds out where they live because doxing is easy because her name is all over the place. And, they come to harm her in the name of protecting Wendy, quote unquote, protecting Wendy.
Wow, I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So Natural Hair is saying FDIC only insures 200,000. Wendy's a millionaire. She should have known better. Yeah, that's true too. So Selfish Love is saying had grown men leeching off her. Unfortunately. So, all right, let's move to story number 3. That is Tia and Corey and their divorce. Now, I'm going to say this. A lot of people are speculating a lot about this divorce, what happened. Tia shouldn't have left. She just left because it was Tuesday, things like that. I don't pretend to know what happened with their marriage, their divorce. It has been put out there that she met him when they had already, launched Sister Sister. They were already multimillionaires, and Corey was at a bus
How about a
stop.
bus stop?
And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And, a down on his luck struggling actor. And one of the things that we talk about oftentimes is marrying down as Black women, and I felt like this was an important discussion for us to have. And I want to continue having these discussions of marrying down or versus marrying our socioeconomic equals, even if that person is of another race. But Mocha Mommy, I want to throw this to you. What are some of your thoughts with regards to this?
Well, I mean, to dissolve a 14-year relationship when you have 2 school-age children is never an easy choice. So I definitely don't think that this was arbitrary. And I think because she has 2 school-age children who are kind of old enough to navigate like social media and they go to school, it probably is best to keep this situation as to why they're divorcing quiet. I completely understand why she would make that choice to not disclose why they're getting a divorce. But as far as the marrying down, one thing that no one ever talks about is when you are a successful woman, how that man's insecurity plays a huge role in it. It's not just the woman being materialistic. It's the man being very insecure about the fact that didn't she have like a TV show on Netflix or something? The Family Reunion or something?
I don't know about that one. I know
Yeah.
that she and her sister had a reality show, but
Right.
I
She
don't
just had a
know.
reality show.
And
She
then
has
they
a
had the
show with Loretta.
game.
Yeah. The
She had
game.
the game as well. Yeah.
And she has a show with Loretta Devine with her and their kids and all that stuff.
Okay.
It's for a younger audience. And I know my youngest daughter watches it. So constantly seeing her get booked for Hallmark movies and him still never really working and never really getting that big break, I just think like that's a very difficult situation to deal with. So yeah, constantly having to quell his insecurities, that's a full-time job. And you're already working and you're already a mother. Oh, I could imagine.
Yeah, yeah. I don't believe, outside of like a very, very few, what I call knuckleheads, quote unquote, I don't think any woman is leaving a man just because she wakes up and today is Tuesday. I don't think I mean, like I said, probably, less than 1%, like a super, super minority of women do something like that. The super majority of women, 99%, they are leaving for a specific issue. And sometimes it's just because you're tired. Um, so I think that this is something, and I don't claim to know, very much about this, but from a live stream that I saw, he was in a position where if he couldn't make it acting, he could have pivoted into production. He could have pivoted into directing. He could have pivoted into writing. My uncle is in Hollywood. And his wife wrote a couple of popular, like if I said the names of the movies, you all would recognize them.
Okay.
So I happen to know a little bit about the production and the movie industry and things like that. I think one of the things that I didn't see with Corey and his story, based on, again, what I heard through other people's commentary, was the lack of pivoting. Okay, this acting thing isn't working for me. It's been 14 years. Let me leverage Tia, because he could have done that, to pivot into some other aspect. Even Julia Roberts' husband is like a lighting guy or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Julia Roberts and this guy has been married for, I don't know, what, got to be at least 15 years.
Yeah. Almost 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but then he is friends with George Clooney.
Mhm.
And then he got in on the tequila thing with George Clooney.
Mhm.
And then he also, it's not like he's just any random lighting dude. He's like Ron Howard's lighting dude. You know what I mean? He's pretty accomplished in his field. Like as far as like innovation, he has a couple of patents. So Danny Motor, also he's a photographer for certain things, and he's like the one that they all call on to do their like celebrity Christmas cards and their press and things like. So he's not just any lighting guy. He's just a private guy who has to have a very public wife. Like he's a pretty successful individual.
Yeah. So Selfish Love is saying we all have to pivot at some point in our career, no matter the career. Yeah. Look, sometimes things aren't working as well. That's part of the reason why I'm pivoting next year. So y'all will see me less on YouTube. I'll be here like once a week. But the career that I had, even though I was doing okay, I was stuck, and I was stuck for like 3 or 4 years. And I'm like, if I don't break out of this, I'm going to scream. I'm not going to be a happy Cherie. So I literally had to say, okay, I have to shut this down and I have to pivot to something else. So, yeah. So, and actually, Natural Hair is saying we as Black women should learn how to pivot. It's a great skill. I think that we all do. And Mocha Mommy, we had that conversation behind the scenes of how so many of us, our careers are natural progression anyway, and the art of the pivot. You want to tell people what your thoughts were around that?
Right. I think after a lot of us in healthcare, and Computer and Coin can definitely speak to this, we had to transition after the quarantine. A lot of people left the field altogether, or like the way they work is challenging. So I had always, from my military career on, had always done acute care and emergency room care. And then I had to kind of move into another form of healthcare that was a little bit more stable, a little bit more 9 to 5, just because of the reality of the burnout. So yeah, I mean, I think we all have to come up with a better work-life balance as our life changes, as our bodies change,
Yeah.
My spouse, went from just kind of being in the pit, the tech guy, to now having a leadership position and more of a manager. less of it. So it happens with all of us. So ladies, make it a point to just be flexible and understand there's a blessing in that.
Yeah. And since we have so many younger ladies, one of the things you and I had talked about, Mocha Mommy, and I had said this before on this channel, is if you're a younger lady, younger woman, and you want to have kids one day, preferably in marriage, but okay.
Right.
Just because that's what I believe on this channel. If you have the type of job now where you have to work in the field and you think, oh, but I might want to stay home with my child, but I might marry a man who cannot carry the financial load entirely by himself, thinking about pivoting now to something where you can have an at-home desk job or starting a small business now where, you can position yourself to be able to do that versus I have to leave my children at daycare. That's one of the most disheartening things. And actually, when I was married, most of you know I'm a widow now, but my husband wanted a baby. And I said, I will not do it unless I told him he had to make more money, let's be honest. And he was working on that. And I said, unless I could stay home. So I was going to start a little accounting business so that I could stay home with my child. So I just want to kind of get you all thinking 5 steps ahead, because it's just about the men thinking 5 steps ahead. It's about you thinking 5 steps ahead as well. So Selfish Love is saying, yes, I'm skill stacking all 2023 in case I need to pivot. Good for you. Natural Hair was saying, I was in the ER on Christmas Eve. Bless you, Mocha Mommy. So Anna saying, I'm in a similar position. I realize that I haven't made any progression in the past few years and my college career is going very slow. In the meantime, I'm looking into doing an online business. Good for you.
That's right. Good for you.
You. All righty then. Let's move on to the next story. Everybody like the video, share. And let's move on to our next story. Y'all remember this one? Miss Lee says no to the man who wants to live in her home. All righty then. Let's actually take a look at the video. I'm going to stop my screen here and I'm actually going to refresh everyone's memory just in case you have forgotten what this was all about. Let's take a look at what happened here.
Fair. Like, I understand this is your house in this league, but I don't think this is fair.
I know it's not really us. Can we stay here? Y'all can stay, but he can't stay. Why not?
And people are saying that this was this woman's daughter. I don't think that Miss Lee was this woman's mother.
Right.
Because the way that mom and daughter talk is not the way that she's talking to her naturally born or like adopted, like we have legal paperwork child. So I don't know where people got this, that Miss Lee was this woman's mother, because I don't get that. But let's keep listening.
Like, I don't understand. Like, this is we a family. Like, I understand, like, this is your house, but like, I'm not leaving my family. So she expecting me to do.
I don't know what you're gonna do, but you just can't stay here. Her and the kids can stay as long as they like. But Sean is a part of the family, so he gotta. So he gotta.
I don't think this is staged, from what I can see.
If you're trying to follow him, I suppose so.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's oh man, because that's bogus. That's bogus. Like, I ain't even gonna cuss in this your house. I want to get loud. I ain't about to do that, but there's
Boy, go.
I literally can't stay here. Like, I have nowhere to go. We all got evicted. Like, I know you're trying to say I'm the man and I was supposed to take responsibility, but life happens. Like, I don't understand why I can't stay here this week.
Whew. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. So Becoming Bossy is saying, I don't remember that. You are fortunate. You are fortunate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a prank. And the baby was probably didn't even know what was happening.
No, yeah, I think the baby didn't.
So You're saying I'm bringing out the ratchet videos of 2022. Look, we have to have a little fun here
It's
as well,
true.
but this is a very serious topic that happened here. First of all, Miss Lee allowed these this I'm gonna I'm gonna say this couple because the kids are different, right? I'm glad that they did not physically attack Miss Lee.
Exactly.
One of the things that I thought was she let them in the house to tell them, "No, he can't stay here." That, to me, was a very physically, dangerous thing for her to do. So I'm glad that they did not hurt her. Um, the second thing is that, um, the entitlement the entitlement that you believe that you are able to just come to somebody's house at God knows what hour. It seemed like it was super late based on the entire video, 10, 11 o'clock at night with babies, because that little child there looks 4, maybe.
Yeah,
And so
not even
we're all
kindergarten, right?
sitting here, you know. Um, and later on in this whole video, the woman talks about the fact that things came up that they had school supplies to pay for and a car note, and things just piled up and they got behind. Um, most people know they're getting evicted in advance, and um, you make provisions, for yourself. I
Yeah.
I just see a lot wrong with this. Go ahead, Mocha Mommy.
I think Miss Lee knows this family clearly and knows probably why. Because, a lot of people will get eviction notice, tear it off, and keep going in their apartment in and out multiple times, right? But once they see the notice, because I think they have to give you 90 days notice in most states or something like that.
Some of them, I think it depends on the states because some
Yeah,
of them will actually, like a lot of states, they'll start the eviction process, especially if you're in an apartment.
right,
They'll start the eviction process right away. But the courts are super delayed right now with
right.
evictions due to COVID and things like that. So I would find it hard to believe that they ran out of money on the 1st, got their notice on the 5th, was in court by the 6th, and was put out on the street, the sheriff coming on the 7th. I
Right.
find that extremely hard to believe. So, yeah,
Exactly.
you're probably looking at 90 days minimum to try to deal with this situation before you're put out.
And I'm thinking that Ms. Lee knows something that she may not be telling. Like maybe she might be from that generation where if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And because later on in the video, she was saying something along the lines of, "I just want you to make better decisions." So there, she knows that there's way more to this story as to why this family is not housed right now, and why she would take the woman and the kids, but not him. So she knows a lot more. And again, there's a camera in her face, a phone in her face, trying to shame her, and the reason that the guy just even posted this because he really thought that Miss Lee was the person who was in the wrong and not him.
Yeah, which is horrible, a horrible thing to think. I'm glad that so many people saw the issue with this. And it also goes to show you that you can have mom and dad in the house. They are married, from what I understand, they were saying husband and wife to each other, and your finances could still be in shambles. I don't know. No, I'm saying this. I don't know these people at all. Sometimes these things happen because of addiction issues. Certain person is addicted to drugs, they're addicted to, whatever, alcohol,
Yeah.
things like that.
Mhm.
And even though they're working, they are spending their money before the rent is paid and other things are paid off. Um, because oftentimes we hear in the Black community as Black women, if you just had a husband, everything would be okay. Well, this scenario is saying differently.
Exactly. And then I just think that Miss Lee is probably from that generation where if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say it at all. And she definitely has. And I feel as if she wants to get the woman alone to talk to her about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah,
feel
that's
as if she's
possible,
trying to.
but sometimes you can't save the woman either, you
That's
know?
true. That's true.
And Miss Lee is, in my opinion, she's probably too old to take care of the kids by herself. So, unfortunately, the kids are going to suffer from this too. I want to show one other part because I had this part marked as well. So let's hear what they're saying here.
The boy?
At least a week. So you don't have to be out on the street by yourself.
So you gonna stay here even though I can't stay here? That's what I'm asking you. You still just stay here and knowing I can't stay here?
Where else is we gonna go?
That's not the point though. Like we supposed to be together on this. You finna let me sleep outside on the curb.
I didn't say you can sleep, but I'm trying to get you to be able to stay here. You don't want to stay here or not?
I don't want to be somewhere I'm not welcome. She just said
straight up. I feel that.
She might change her mind.
So I can't stay here.
Just for a week. Come on.
I can't stay here, Ms. Lee.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Why?
Y'all made no effort, or you didn't get a job, or something, so that y'all.
School just started, and I had to get groceries, and then my car note was due, and then I paid the insurance. So it just fell behind. A lot of things just fell behind.
Okay, so
Wow.
you heard it. You heard it. There was so much that was said in there where he was upset with the wife, and again, this is kind of a moral thing as well, ladies, as you're dating people, as you're having, just friendships with people, having these conversations. What do you think about this? Because you may discover that the man that you're dating, y'all aren't on the same wavelength and frequency when it comes to a topic like this, right?
Right.
Or
yeah.
even some of your friends, you're trying to be upwardly mobile, and they would say, well, I agree, the wife should have left with the husband and brought the kids, and they could have toughed it out in a car somewhere. And then the other thing that Miss Lee said is you all could have gotten a job, you made no effort, things like that. There are, 10.5 million the last time I saw open jobs that are out there. Like
Right. Yeah.
people like immigrants are coming. I don't know if these are ADOS people, but let's pretend that they are. Immigrants are coming in here from the Caribbean, from Africa, from Afghanistan, from the Ukraine, and they are whipping our butts. And this is part of the reason why we are not in it with the understanding that this is a competition.
Yeah, that's true.
Go ahead, Mocha Mommy. What else do you have to say? And everybody, the StreamYard link is still pinned. So if y'all want to come up and talk about any of these stories, you can.
Yeah. And that's what made me to think that Miss Lee knows more about this situation than was put up, just the way she was saying, well, y'all could have got jobs, or y'all could have, they could possibly live in like the Rust Belt somewhere where you close one factory and both the husband and the wife are unemployed. That's a possibility too. But I just feel as if she knows more about why they ended up evicted, not just the fact. And the fact that I feel like she's trying to get the wife alone for some reason. I just feel like she knows more about the situation.
So I have to be a little ruthless here. If you are a husband of children, right? You got a wife, you got kids, and you live in a Rust Belt, and the one factory in town closes, you look around and you say, what else can I do? And it's not just Uber and DoorDash. There are people who are helping, I'm going to say Black men for this. Black men get their CDLs so they can be on the road, be truckers. There are Black men helping other Black men get into tech, where they help them with their certifications and things like that. All of these people are online. There's another guy that's helping Black people become notary publics. All you have to know how to do is stamp documents, and they'll send you leads, and you can go and make up to $100 an hour, stamping documents for people. No excuses. Short-term blips, yeah, I get it. But long-term blips, once you have an eviction on your record, it's very hard to get housing anyplace else. And if both of their names were on the lease, it's going to be very hard for them to get housing anyplace else. You don't play with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I just think like it's like I'm saying, there's way more to this situation that we don't know. And that's, again, I didn't comment on this because I'm like, okay, I just felt like Miss Lee was kind of saying there's more to this situation.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah, I believe
and
that.
I just feel like, and I feel my heart goes out to these children. And, you
Yeah,
know, the wife trying to make amends, trying to like, hey, we're still talking. Let's try to. And he's like, I don't understand, you know, oh man. And then the fact that he thought Miss Lee was in the wrong for not letting him stay in her house. There's way more to the situation.
yeah, yeah. So look, y'all are putting some names of people. I didn't want to call names, but if y'all want to call names in the chat, like if a man came to me, especially a Black man came to me and say, Cherie, I'm only making $30,000 a year. What can I do to level up my income? I could rattle off 10 verified Black men that will work with them, that'll take them by the hand, get them access to free or close to free opportunities, tell them exactly how to do it, walk them through things like that. So at this point, it's a choice. And
Yeah.
that is my version of burning the cape. Like it's a choice, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, let's look at the next thing. The rise of lonely single
Wow.
men.
Yeah.
The rise of lonely single men. Okay, so this came out in Psychology Today. There was a lot of talk about this. And not only did this come out, but there was a book that came out called Of Boys and Men by a guy named Richard Reeves.
Yes. Yeah.
And
He's making the rounds. Yeah.
yeah, and that's making the rounds. That came out this year as well. And there's also this quote that's going around, and it says here, hard times create strong men create good times
Good
create weak men, and weak men create hard
bad
times.
Yeah. Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
going to read that one more time so that everybody can follow the quote. It says, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. I think we are in the cycle where weak men are going to create hard times. And I have no idea what the hard times look like for men, for women, for America. Some of it is the eviction rate and things like that. Our marriage rates are horribly down. You have a lot of people who don't want to get married. Understandably, if you don't want to get married, you don't want to have children. I'm a child-free woman. You know, I totally support that. The birth rates are down. We're going to talk about Roe v. Wade, and when one of these, you know, they're trying to get the birth rates up. There's also this place called Ectolife, which I'll show you all sometime, where they're going to actually start raising babies or gestating them in like this cylinder thingy.
Yeah.
It's called
Scary.
Ectolife. If any of you all are looking for it. Somebody is saying, watch for incels, they are dangerous. Yeah, like the hard times are not just going to affect men, they're going to affect women as well. And this is not about if you're looking for a boo thing, right? I mean, if you are, great. This is what you're going to have to deal with. But there's a larger issue that's happening. And yeah, go ahead, Mocha Mommy. You're unmuted.
Well, I just want to say, like, okay, the rise of, you know, single lonely men and men that have dropped out of the workforce, and I think a lot of it, especially having kids who, you know, a kid who's in high school, a lot of it starts young when they are spending that time that they used to, you know, be involved in school and play sports, when they're spending it on screens. And then they realize when you kind of leave that high school environment or you leave that collegiate environment and you're not around as many people, but you spent so much time on screens, you don't know how, you don't have the social skills. So I do definitely think, like, you know, I think my husband, he has like a little side hustle where he teaches private batting lessons. And he says his biggest competitors are porn and PlayStation.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He says, if I can get he's had that several times. He goes, if you can get rid of the porn and the PlayStation, he goes, you will be Division I recruited. Like, that's what's stopping you. And a lot of these young, and it starts young.
Well, that goes to, the fact that in the future, the next 10, 15, 20 years, the people who are going to win are people who have not only the hard skills, but also the soft skills to be able to navigate and make it. We're moving into the haves and the have-nots. And like you're saying, well, you said porn and what?
PlayStation.
Porn and PlayStation. Also, a lot of these podcasts as well. These YouTube, people doing 11-hour live streams about.
Yes.
I'm just like, how do you all have the time for all of this?
Right.
But we're seeing it in, I'm a lonely single man. I can at least commune with these other people and vent about these single mothers, or things like that.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that this is going to have a huge economic issue, and it's not just affecting Black people. This is affecting white people as well. The power structure is paying attention to this.
Right. And here's my interesting thing, because it talked about the 7 million men who are out of work. The author you had mentioned, right? The 7 million age. Now, there are about 350 million Americans, okay? So of the 350 million Americans, about 110 million of them are white men, okay? So about the 350 million Americans, about 250 million Americans are white people. About 115 million of them, or 110 million of them, are white men. 4.5 million of that 7 million are white men. So understand, like, at 4.5 million, they're calling crisis.
It's a major crisis.
They're calling major crisis at 4.5 million, right?
Because they could see the train coming.
Right. So it's like, just see, like, this is like a very small percentage, like 4.5 million of 110, 120 million men. And they're calling this a crisis for them. So yeah, it just goes to show you how a small number
can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Because all of these men pretty much are young men. And when they should be in the process of courting women, having sex, getting married, starting families, buying, because this is an economic issue as well. They're not buying homes. They're not getting married. All of these things are affecting industries. And we're talking trillions of dollars, per year. So yeah, they are. And it would not surprise me, as much as we see the gender war in Black America, and I do think that the gender war algorithm is very real, it would not surprise me if the government is going to talk with Instagram and YouTube. They can't control TikTok because TikTok is not American
Chinese,
owned,
right.
which is why I think that it would not surprise me if they get rid of TikTok, or if they have they come to a true understanding, because they need to set up the algorithms to start pushing boys and girls, men and women together, because, we're so far apart.
Right. I mean, I'm sure, like, as a content creator, when you read your YouTube emails, you're seeing what they're optimizing, right? You're seeing what they're optimizing. And I find that very interesting. Like, as we're going to start to see who maybe is going to start getting those AdSense dollars. Because I mean, I have another channel and a whole nother algorithm. And even though there's a lot less subscribers, the viewership and the engagement is way higher, like 10 times higher than my Mocha Mommy channel. So it's already sort of happening. And that's a whole nother video. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's just interesting what they're calling a crisis, and the numbers, and how small those numbers are, like, compared to the overall population that they're calling crisis on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, to ladies, just kind of keep your your eyes up and your ears open.
Yeah.
Um,
You know
so
what else is happening in the algorithms? And I don't know if I'm just seeing it because I've been watching content or if it's really being pushed, but I see the push for educated Black women to start dating out.
yes,
I'm really seeing that as I believe the algorithm is pushing it. Not only is the algorithm pushing it, you're starting to see it in media a lot more. I think that there is a concern about so many educated Black women not coupling and not having the next generation of educated Black or biracial people. I don't know why. It's just something kind of tingling with me. I don't have any proof of it, but it's something tingling
you're absolutely
with
right.
me. Yeah, so everybody, please like the video. Don't forget that the StreamYard link is pinned. So if anybody wants to come up and talk about any of these stories, we can, or you can do that. So let's move to the next Roe v. Wade, which is kind of, you know, a little bit with number 7, with what we had just talked about. But Roe v. Wade obviously overturned the birth rate there, you know, especially with white women, let's be real,
Very
it's like
true.
a fire alarm is happening right now. The truth is, if the Democrats wanted to codify Roe, they would have done it. They don't want to do it. And the Republicans were loud about it, the Democrats were silent about it, but they both wanted to overturn Roe. You can't convince me any differently because
Agreed.
because they had, I think it was the Senate that was only needed to codify Roe. Whatever it was, they had the people in place. They had Joe Biden, and they had either the Senate or the House or both, and they chose not to do it when they had like a 2-month window in order to do it. So they want you having these babies.
That is true. And I mean, I know we keep talking about single moms, but the Black birth rate is the lowest it's been in 40 years.
Mhm.
And, you know, I put a reproductive health playlist on my channel just to make sure that you're asking the right questions, to make sure you're getting the right advocacy for, you know, your reproductive health, because overall, just women's health and reproductive health overall, it's getting harder to staff and harder to administer that care. And Medicaid and Medicare, as well as private insurance, isn't paying as much as they used to.
Mhm.
You know, OBGYNs are almost the same rate as the general practitioners and not being paid as specialists. And I mean, and I also know that Roe v. Wade overturned quite a bit of the patient privacy laws. So, I mean, it's a big issue where
Mhm.
we are going to have to be more of a self-advocate when it comes to our own reproductive health overall, not just having kids,
Mhm.
but even everything from cancer screenings to, you know, any other reproductive health issues that you might have to come out of pocket for that you may have not had to in 2022.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is why I push so much your income, ladies, your income. And yes, your debt is important. You know, you want to make sure that you keep your bills low, but you can't make $30,000. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what state you live in. You cannot be a single woman living alone making $30,000 and thinking you're going to be able to make it and do all the things that you need to do and have all the things that you need to have in order to make it in this society. Unpopular opinion I have as well. It's very unpopular opinion. So Mocha Mommy doesn't have to say anything once I say this. But if you cannot afford the procedure money, I'm not going to call the term, then you probably shouldn't be dating and having sex. Now, say that again. Mocha Mommy doesn't have to say anything. If you cannot afford the procedure money in case something happens with your birth control, you probably shouldn't be having sex and you shouldn't be dating. Get a toy. So
I think
Mocha
there's
Mommy
some
doesn't
validity
have to say
to that.
anything.
There's some
So,
validity to that. And I
mhm,
think there are a lot of more women who are making that choice.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there are a lot more women who are making that choice, and I think that the slide 5 with the lonely men, they're gonna see that. You
Yeah,
know,
I think they're already
they're gonna see
seeing
that.
it. So, all right, Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner. So I want to show a video here of something because I have a point to make with this. So let me just pull it up here. Okay, watch this.
It has been almost 4 months since WNBA star Brittany Griner was sentenced to 9 years in Russian prison after bringing cannabis oil into the country last February. Some details are beginning to trickle out about Griner's whereabouts. She's currently being held at the IK2 penal colony in Mordovia. It's also known as Russia's land of prisons, that area. The region's nearly 24 prisons are infamous for their slavery-like conditions. Those closest to the two-time Olympic gold medalist say that Griner is trying to stay strong while efforts to bring her home continue. For more, we are joined by Alex Raskin, U.S. sports news editor for the dailymail.com. And Alex, you recently wrote an article about what Griner's life might be like in prison. First of all, can you just describe life in general, and then we'll get to Brittany Griner specifically?
Yes, the prison systems in Mordovia, they say if you haven't done time in Mordovia, you haven't done time in Russia. They're known for slavery-like conditions, as you said, 10 to 12-hour work days. For the women in particular, women's prisons, that means you're going to be at a sewing machine for most of your day. You're going to start your day around 6 a.m. You're going to have some exercises, and then it's off to the sewing room. And the guards have complete control. There's very little oversight. And nighttime isn't much better. The guards are largely absent from large bunk areas, and the prisoners kind of run themselves at night. They have sort of a self-appointed person who will talk to the prison officials, but Brittany Griner will be in a difficult situation at all times, not just when she's working.
Okay, so Natural Hair has it absolutely right. Know the laws for where you are traveling to. Oh my gosh. So,
Yeah.
unpopular opinion. Brittany Griner was lucky. She
Agreed.
was straight up lucky. When I tell you lucky, I mean lucky, right? Because nobody's looking for a WNBA player. It just so happened that certain things, certain things happened at certain periods of time. And number one, somebody else said this here. Yeah, everyone became a foreign policy expert when it came to this. Selfish love is absolutely right. I heard certain people say she didn't even do it. My understanding is she actually did have the cannabis oil on her, so they didn't set her up. This wasn't her first time in Russia. She knew what the laws were. As a Black woman who has traveled, Mocha Mommy has traveled too. I can tell you, when I went to Istanbul, I went to Turkey, Istanbul. I went on study abroad with, I was like 20 at the time, went on study abroad with a fellow group of students. And they let us know that PDA was not allowed in Istanbul. And then they showed us I'll never forget this. They showed us a movie of what the Turkish prisons looked like. And I was like, I got it. I'm not doing anything in this country to end up like that. I'm not going to say y'all. People want to travel to Dubai. You don't know the laws in some of these Middle Eastern countries. There was an Australian woman who brought 2 men she didn't know up to her hotel room. They arred her. She went to the authorities and she ended up in prison. Yes, that was a real story. So, ladies, we ain't Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner was lucky. I personally don't agree with the prison swap that they did with this death, the murder of whomever.
Yeah, the merchant of death, a weapons dealer.
I mean, I agree with the conservatives. That was not smart. Brittany Griner is going to make millions of dollars from this with speaking fees. She's probably inking a book deal right now, etc. She got off lucky because those Russians were going to make her do those 9 years. And when the prison guards turned the lights out at night, God only knows what would have happened to her. So Mocha Mommy, I'll toss it over to you.
Well, I think one thing that's very interesting with this whole thing is that we remember the Olympics in Japan. Simone Biles couldn't compete because the medication that she uses for her ADHD is a controlled substance in Japan, right? That was one of the reasons why she couldn't compete. And people were saying all kinds of things. And, you know, she doesn't have a right. She doesn't have to talk about her own personal medical history, but that came out much later. So, you know, the laws, you know, especially in these international athletic leagues, because, you know, the International Olympic Committee and, you know, going through this kind of with my daughter and playing in other places and other countries and they make it very clear what you're allowed to bring and not allowed to have. So she definitely went in there knowing that she had it with her and then knowing that it was illegal. And, you know, I think really hoping on American sympathy, really hoping on, she is probably the most high profile, probably her and Candace Parker, they're probably the most high profile WNBA players. Most people can't even name 3 or 4 WNBA players.
Yeah, I didn't even know who she was. I'll be honest with you.
So
I didn't know who she was.
She probably, her and Candace Parker, probably the most pronounced ones. So I mean, just like I said, ladies, I want you ladies to travel and experience all that there is, but please know the laws. Please know the laws. Please, you know where the embassy is. Have a cell phone. Like, I mean, even things like alcohol, right? Mm-hmm. Alcohol. Skylar Diggins, Maya Moore, you know, she's retired now, but, you know, very few people can name, you know, several WNBA players. So, mm-hmm. I mean, I think she's most notable because she is one of the tallest. She's almost 7 feet tall. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, just know the laws. Like, even when it comes to alcohol, even drinking publicly or being publicly inebriated has implications in other countries. Please, ladies, know the law. Know the law.
Yeah, I definitely want you to travel as well. Traveling has been one of the joys of my life. My goal is to go to all 7 continents, including Antarctica. And, you know, I'm going to get there, which is why I'm getting my money up as well. But definitely understand the laws. And I err on the side of caution because even though we are American, we are still Black American. We don't have the social capital. The other thing is, even with the white Americans, remember, Mocha Mommy, that young white man went to North Korea and ripped down the poster of Kim Jong-un. Mm-hmm. They sent him back in a box.
They sure did.
So, you know, we want to play in these countries like, oh, we're American. We could do this. We could do that. No, you take your chance if you want. I'll tell you this, Cherie will not be given to your GoFundMe campaign if you go to those people's country and do something stupid. I love y'all, but no, I'm not doing it.
Right. So, even in certain parts of Asia, like, I mean, being publicly inebriated was a big one. And when that's kind of almost like the culture here, especially among young people. Mm-hmm. And then also, you know, I remember there was like in Singapore, somebody got caned, corporal punishment. There's a Black man now who's facing the death penalty in China.
Mm-hmm. Now, if he killed that woman, he deserved it. I mean,
right, exactly. But the thing about it is
people being dumb.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He definitely should not have committed that crime for sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, had he done that in the States,
he would have just gotten life in prison or maybe even 20 years.
Yeah,
depending on what state he was in. Yeah.
Right. Because most states don't give that penalty for a DV case. So DV turn bad, you know. And I don't just ladies, if you travel, please be aware. Please be aware, especially of like illicit substances, you know, even just going from Amsterdam to Germany, just that crossing that is a huge implication.
It is.
Even if you wear a military uniform, because a military man in prison in Russia for not. I mean, I'm serious, ladies. Please be careful.
Also, another thing, it may sound insignificant, but even in these foreign hotels, taking the bathrobes, like we, Kiki in the United States, oh, I'm going to take the bathrobe. I'm going to take the, the, what do you call it? The extra lotion and things
Yeah,
like
right.
that. Like, look, I leave everything in there like I found it. You don't want people to give any reason to lock you up. So, all right, we're gonna move a little bit faster because we're only supposed to be on here for an hour and a half. We're blowing our budget here. But yeah, the Lori Harvey breaks up with Michael B. Jordan. Let's kiki a little bit with regards to this one. I think the biggest financial lesson for me, Mocha Mommy, with this one is that so many people, first of all, we don't know anything about these people except the PR notification that they put out. Like,
Exactly.
we really don't. But let's pretend like Michael B. Jordan is perfect on paper. Just because somebody is perfect on paper doesn't mean that they are perfect for you. And that was the only reason why I wanted to share this one with the community. It's like, okay, he may make tons of money and he may be a billionaire and things like that, but that doesn't mean he's perfect for you, So what are your thoughts, Mocha Mommy, about this one?
Like I said, who knows what happened? Who knows what happens? It could have, and I think one thing about Lori Harvey, whether she's dated everyone from Future to Diddy to, she never says anything. So that's one thing we can take away. She never said anything good or bad, good, bad, or indifferent. Lori has never spoken up about it.
Yeah. And, the truth is, there are a lot of people talk about hitting the wall. I think she's 25, 26 years old. So she's at the wall right now. I guarantee you all of these men saying she's hit the wall would scoop her up in a New York minute if she said, okay, I want to marry you. I want to be in a relationship with you. So don't listen to these people.
Exactly. I don't think she's hurting for attention.
No, she's focusing on her career right now, networking. I think that, Lori Harvey is a case study in the monkey branching that we had talked about a couple of weeks ago. So she's playing it right. Tasha K versus Cardi B. Another financial lesson. Everybody, again, please hit the thumbs up as you all are coming in, hanging out with us. Thumbs up, share the live stream. Also, the StreamYard link is pinned to the top if anyone else wants to come on and talk about any of these stories. So most of us know what happened with Tasha K and Cardi B, but in case you have been living under a rock, Cardi B had sued Tasha K because Tasha K did a series. It wasn't just one, it was a series of videos about Cardi B having herpes or something like that. And Tasha K, was ruled against her. $4 million judgment. I think this changes the landscape about celebrity gossip. It changes the landscape for YouTubers and podcasters and things like that. It definitely is a financial hit to Tasha K. But the biggest thing is sometimes you have to know when to fold them, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right? And I understand that Tasha is appealing this decision right now. I don't know what's going to happen, but who needed the legal bills for something like this?
Exactly.
And this kind of exposure. I don't think that the exposure she got for this, Tasha, bumped her up in the way that maybe she thought she would. So this just has all sorts of financial implications.
Right. And I mean, celebrity gossip is lucrative on social media. And I told this story on my channel that I was tagging MLB Network, their YouTube page, and putting it on my community tab, right? And then I did a video for Black women like, hey, here's how you navigate Major League Baseball. MLB Network contacted me to be in a focus group. And I will never forget this. They were putting us into breakout groups based on where you were in the country and how often you watch baseball. And the Chicago Cubs, okay, I'm in Texas. The Chicago Cubs said, who's the social media influencer who said that our shortstop was a thirst trap? a channel with 2,000 subscribers. They said that. So what you say on social media will always be out there, ladies. So, and you may, and of course, they asked me, did I like the photos and did I follow him on Instagram and blah, 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 blah. You know, I mean, so it didn't have like a negative implication, but the fact that the Chicago Cubs organization knew that I said that, it just goes to show
They're
you,
watching.
be careful. Be
They're
careful.
watching.
Be
Yeah.
careful.
So let's move to the next story here. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter brought in $90 million. No, I did not watch the Kansas documentary. I don't care about the Kansas documentary. But I did take a look at the organizations that they gave money to, and I want to show you something here. So the whole hoopla is where'd all money go, right? Because Black people in mass haven't seen $90 million, and we haven't really seen any of it. Where'd all the money go, right? I want to show you something here, ladies. So let me pull this up. Give me a second. Hold on. I got to find it. Here it is. Okay, so this is their tax return. I want to show you here, Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. So you all could see, right, what's here, right? So this is from 2020. Contributions was 76 million, and then they brought in another 2 million of other revenues. So this is basically $80 million here, right? Signed off by the board secretary.
Right.
I want to bring you to page 40 to 45. So we're asking, where did the money go, right? This is a Form 990. So all nonprofits, no matter how big or small, have to complete these, right? So they're telling us here where the money went. And I want to show you something specific in here. When I saw this, my mouth dropped. So they have things like Allied Media Group projects, Arts Business Collateral, different BLM, subchapters, things like that. And then I'm scrolling down, and I see Chinese Progressive Association.
Wow.
$150,000. Huh? And wow. I went to their website. I'm like, what in the world is this? And I know some of you are thinking, well, it's only 150,000 out of 80 million. I don't think any of my girls here are saying it, but somebody else is watching from the clouds saying this. But then it has me ask, well, who are these other organizations and what are they doing with this money? I want to show you something else as well. And I want to preface this by saying I'm not against trans. But when I see all of these trans here, my ears go up as well. My tingly senses go up as well. That these are some of the grants and some of the distributions. You know what I don't see on here? I don't see Black Girls Code. I don't see, any of the other organizations.
Any of the relief organizations for Black homeowners. That was my whole thing.
Yeah, like
or the Black businesses who were, didn't get paycheck protection, or certain Black businesses who had inventory issues. Like that was my whole thing. Like, why do I not see any Black-owned businesses or homeowners who got relief? Because how many Black people during the quarantine suffered, or the people who lived in these neighborhoods where there were riots, particularly Minneapolis, for them to rebuild.
Things rebuilt. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or to get, maybe their car insurance, those cars that got set on fire and flipped over. I mean, who paid those deductibles?
I was always cautious of BLM, the organization, but looking at this tax return, makes me more cautious. And Becoming Bossy is saying, I'm staying quiet on this one. I especially want to know what you think then, because
Yeah.
because to me, like I don't get it. And just because the organization is called Black Anything Anything doesn't mean that the money and the opportunities are going to trickle down to the community. I will say that what happened in the summer of 2020 with George Floyd and BLM was honestly a once in a lifetime opportunity that we blew. We
Agreed.
blew it. Imagine if we had taken that $90 million, bought land with it, things like that, and flipped it into $900 million of assets for the Black community. Or like you're saying, like, help with some of the PPP stuff, even helping giving grants out, $5,000 to some of the businesses that were shut down, $10,000, something like that. Between Mocha Mommy and I and the rest of you in here, we could have done something where people could have said, we see the benefits. We know people who have received this money or a portion of this money from this $90 million. They blew it. And I don't think there'll ever be a BLM again.
Yeah, and I think this was sad, as I remember, like the one thing they did for Martin Luther King Day with the girl twerking, like of all the Black arts, of all the Black arts that there have been struggles to fund, all the Black art organizations. Alvin Ailey has multiple chapters of Black girls who want to be ballerinas, and how many of them really suffered over the quarantine to keep teachers paid, to keep lights on, for kids who couldn't come back. That alone could have made a huge difference. It could have made a huge difference for, and it was very interesting because a lot of people did, as a result, kind of step up, right? When it came to business grants and business loans and home ownership for disenfranchised, and then all of a sudden it became BIPOC. And trust me, other people of other ethnic groups are taking advantage of the things that we were in the street for.
They always do. They always do, but they're also better organized, better focused. And for some reason they seem to win and we don't, So, all right, let's go to the next thing here. And that is the eviction crisis, especially with Black women. The hood is no longer accepting Section 8, and there is an affordable housing crisis. So, one of the things that has come up is that Black women are at the top of the list with regards to the number of evictions that are out there. Another thing that has come up is the fact that a lot of housing that was accepting Section 8, they're no longer doing it. And this is where competition, competing, thinking less about competing for men and thinking more about competing for resources, ladies, because that's where I am right now.
Right.
And if a good man shows up, he's going to have to accept the fact that I'm a modern woman. I don't care. I'm not giving up my career for you. I'm not going to stay at home and be a traditional wife and have no money coming in whatsoever. Those, I don't even think
and
those
most
days
progressive
were.
men don't even want that.
So, but this is a real crisis. It's going to affect us upwardly mobile Black women. If you have sisters or cousins or nieces or things like that are having financial hardships. But I will also say there are a lot of programs out there that are helping, especially Black women, get into better jobs, get into tech jobs, get into their own businesses, things like that. We are doing a great job thus far, but we can do better if we let go of some of the baggage. I think that we're trying to take everybody with us. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do that and be successful. Either everybody's carrying their own weight and we can all live together. We can buy a 3-bedroom house and everybody pulls their own weight. And then we all, get $80,000 jobs and we have a household that's a 240. Like, that's a good thing. But dead weight, The government is trying to deal with the affordable housing crisis. They put some money into it, but it's not going to get resolved fast enough.
I agree.
Brown skin girls, what's
Yes,
up?
I love your channel.
Hi.
You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you so much, Mocha Mommy, and thank you for your support. Hi, Black Women Making Money. I've been waiting for this opportunity. I loved your channel, but we haven't had a chance to connect. So I just want to say that in case anything happens.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, so I just wanted to come up really quickly and talk about the eviction crisis. I know my channel is centered around getting women and people in general into tech and like showing them the ins and outs of it. But I've been studying this whole situation for a while, and I've been kind of talking about it in other spaces. And it seems like no one, I know you guys do, but it seems like no one sees the bigger picture. It's being used for fodder in the gender war, which is unfortunate, but there's a much bigger agenda behind it. I feel like 10 years from now, people are going to look at this and feel like they should have done something about it sooner. But this is just another marker of, the walls going up and the upper classes protecting themselves from upward mobility. That's the end goal, is to stop upward mobility in the US, just like it's in the UK and other countries. America's next for that. It's going to be a haves or have-nots culture. It's going to be a either you have it or you don't culture. And a lot of people don't see that. They're looking at this and going in 8-hour chats, arguing with men or women about it, when it should tell you guys, if you're a man or a woman to, get things together for yourself. Make sure you and your children, if you have it, if you have any children, are in a stable position, and not argue, like you said, not argue and compete for men and want men to like you. A man liking me is the least of my worries now. I don't have much dating experience, so it's not hurting me. I'm focused on going up the next level in my tech career. I'm working on, getting into data and things like that. And I just think people in general should focus more on the bigger picture of this. The end goal is to make this country a haves or have-not society, but people are using this as a talking point to one up that guy or girl that they feel they cannot have. So they're going to neg them using this and other talking points. All of this just leads to what you guys talking about now in the live stream. All of this leads up to, we're heading to a society of the haves and have-nots. It's going to be a very limited upward mobility. Hypergamy will not work. Being pretty will not work. Being attractive won't work for you in this society. It's heading towards a resources society. And I feel like people need to pay attention to that. But it makes me really sad that a lot of Black women are suffering from the evictions. It really makes me sad. I'm grateful I'm not in that position, and I hope I can help other, women avoid this, because it's really sad that it's mostly Black women being affected by this the most. And I think we should focus on our economic situation rather than getting your point across in the comment section, because those likes won't feed you or your children. Those likes won't put you in a better economic situation. Winning an argument with someone on a live panel will not get you an eviction, protection, or get you a Section 8 voucher. That just validates the dopamine in your brain and tricks you into thinking that you're doing something with your time, when in reality, you're wasting your time. And you're going to look up in 10 years when the society that's being built right now is being built. You're going to look up and see you have no upward mobility, neither you or your children. But, you got a man and this other woman, she might not have a man, but she's on the other side of things and has connections to get a man in the upper society anyway. In her society, she can just grab a man, but you think you have a man now, but you're going to be in a bad situation. So I encourage people, use this as a lesson to don't go into the gender war with this, use this as to assess your financial situation and try to get out of working class and put yourself in a position to where no matter what happens, you and your family will always have, resources to maneuver and get through the next step of society. And that's all I really had to say.
Now, I have a question for you, brown skin girls, really quickly. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being hard, 1 being easy, how easy or hard is it for Black women to break into tech with let's say, a $60,000 base salary?
I can't speak on 60 exactly because I'm, not on that level yet,
Mhm.
but it's very easy. So I guess I'll come and tell my story. Hi everyone, I'm Brown Skin Girls. Please subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of tech news, tech topics, tech inspiration with a little bit of positive promotion for you know who. But my story is I worked customer service for a while. I'm very young, like very young. So I was working customer service. I ended up getting laid off. And so I was very scared about my future. I had to drop out of school and things like that. I was already pursuing tech, but more of the traditional way. So then a recruiter for the CompTIA Tech Career Academy, they reached out to me and I filed my paperwork and things like that. And because I'm a Black woman and I was in a certain socioeconomic class, the whole class was paid for. So almost $10,000 of materials to go to this technical school was paid for because I'm a Black woman and because I was in a certain economic situation. So the class took about 3 months and now I'm working at help desk. I make the most money I've ever made and it's only up from here in my opinion. I'm working on getting to the next level in my career now with getting more certifications, getting back into school, but I'm in a different economic position now because I took those 3 months off from, I cut off all social media, all phone uses that wasn't in support of tech school, and I hunkered down. So I would say if you're trying to do help desk, I would say the level of hardness is a 3 because you do have to, it's very easy, the certification I have. But after that, it's up to you. So it could be a 10 if you're slacking and doing the things you aren't supposed to be doing, but it can be also very easy if you're applying yourself. So starting
I
off, I would
find
say 3.
Yeah, I find that most, definitely, I've studied more tech sales. I've talked to a lot of tech salespeople. 3 is about right. You do have to put some effort in, but getting over that hump is not as hard as a lot of people pretend it is. The other thing, brown skin girls and everybody who is younger here, I suggest focusing as much on your network and networking as you do on the certification
Exactly.
themselves. 40% of jobs that are given to people are never ever
Posted.
publicized or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Somebody will have an opening, they'll know brown skinned girls, they'll, text or email, whatever. Hey, we got this opening. You wanna come in for an interview? Nepotism is a real thing, and nepotism isn't just for family, it's for your friends as well. So my only suggestion is I would even say spend more time networking with the right people who can get you in the right doors as you do learning. You need the hard skills, definitely, but that network can get you through the door, and then from there you can be trained into the things that you want to do. So, dark and lovely, hey,
Hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hey, Cherie, Mocha Mommy, love you both.
thank you. What do you have to say about the topics?
Okay, you notice I put in a comment about Amazon?
Yes,
Yes.
I did.
Yes. Okay, so I've been working at Amazon for like the past year and a half because of my eye condition. The last 2 things that now that I'm starting to be able to do now is be on the computer and read. And so I was stumbling in the benefits section this week. I knew they pay tuition for you to go back to school, and let me pause and start from here. People, if you have children, they're 16 and older, there's an Amazon location. Get your kids into Amazon, or they're in college, or they're going to go to college. Amazon has tuition assistance. They have a whole list of approved online programs in schools. They will pay up to $5,250, something around that amount,
Right. Yeah.
for your child for tuition. Also, because they updated the website and the app and made the career information a little bit easier to navigate, I stumbled across AWS courses that they're offering, data analytic courses that they're offering, just by being an employee. So there's opportunities out here. Amazon, with the part-time, they name it flex. That's
Yes.
how it works.
Yes, and seasonal. Yeah, part-time and seasonal.
Yes. So it's labeled, and if people like, when you hear flex, just think part-time. So when you're a flex worker, you're only required like 4.5, 5 hours a week. That's it.
Dark and
In
Lovely,
most
we have a question
locations.
here.
Yes.
They're asking, is the help desk position being competitive? I feel like a lot of people are going into this role.
I'm not particularly sure, because currently I'm in the warehouse, because like I said, being on computers and reading was the two main things I couldn't do, as I was battling my eye condition for almost 3 years. So I'm not too sure about those online positions, because I'm starting to look into them as well.
Okay, maybe Brown Skin
At this
Girls
point,
knows this. I think Brown Skin Girls is on the help desk.
Yeah, I can answer it. I wouldn't say it's becoming competitive, but the walls are coming up with that as well. Like, it's not as easy to get into it. You're going to actually have to go get a certification first. Like me, when I was trying to get in, I couldn't get in. But once I got my certification via my technical school, and that's actually how I got my job, Black Women Making Money. It was kind of a back end thing because of people I knew. But yeah, that's how I got it. I had to have a certification first. So it's not as simple as going and, someone taking a chance on you. You actually have to have a certification now.
Yeah, and
Whereas,
that's one of the things I'm discovering as well as I'm talking to different people, is that the certifications you have to have, sometimes the degrees you have to have, the bar is being raised for entry
Exactly. Yes.
level. And, let's just take our kids here for a second. If our kids are not able to read at grade level, write at grade level, problem solve at grade level, they're going to get shuffled off into the prison system, or, some other
Industrial
place.
poverty
Or
complex.
exactly. So that is part of the reason why I harp so much on the children and making sure that our kids, both male and female, have what they need. And then you have what you need as well in order to get into these positions, because the haves and the have-nots, it's about to be real out here. We're already seeing it happening. There is no more, American dream, grow up in the projects and rise up through grit. Like that is, that's going to be even harder than it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I do want to continue because we're super late here, but
Yes,
you ladies
of
can
course.
definitely stay on here. And let's go to the next topic. This is absolutely my favorite story of the year. This is gossipy story, yes, but it actually does have a major financial impact, and we kind of hinted towards this a little bit. Dr. Umar, or in the words of Deanne Matthews, Little Umar versus Ralph Richard Banks. So many of you know Ketanji Brown Jackson became the first Black female Supreme Court justice. And Ralph Richard Banks ended up writing an article, Why More Black Women Should Consider Marrying White Men. And Umar Johnson had something to say about it. So we're not going to obviously listen to all that Umar had to say, but I do want to share this with you because I have a point about this. So let's listen to a minute of Umar Johnson, if you can stand it.
A decade ago, I published the book, Is Marriage for White People?, that examined the decline in marriage across American society, especially among African Americans, and focused in particular on the predicament of Black women. The book raises the possibility that Black women, like Harris and Brown, would do well to open themselves to partnering with men who are not Black. So the author is an advocate of Black women voluntarily practicing mental illness by indulging in the snow bunny crisis. The book advocates that you, my beautiful African sister, the book advocates that you, my beautiful African sister, would voluntarily indulge in mental illness by handicapping yourself and handicapping your children and handicapping your community by victimizing yourself through the snow bunny crisis. Ladies, don't do it. Ladies, don't do it. Black women, don't you dare. Don't you dare let a Neanderthal crawl up in your heaven and spray his ancestors all inside of your woman cave.
Okay, that's enough of
Lord
that.
Jesus.
Oh my goodness. Mocha Mommy, you said bless his little hotep heart. Oh goodness. So we all recognize that there is a decline in marriage within Black women, but I especially want to talk with educated, upwardly mobile Black women. We are definitely seeing this. And again, I've been looking, just kind of, looking at what I think the algorithms are going to do, how the conversations are going to go. And the fact that this article was placed in the New York Post. And the interesting factoid that I heard, I have not verified it, is that when they looked at the Supreme Court justices that they wanted a Black woman. They had 5 candidates, all Black women, and all 5 of those women were married to white men. And one of the things that I thought about, and I have not flushed out all of my thoughts yet. I need to do more research on this, but I asked, would a Black woman who was married to a man that she is not socioeconomically matched with have ever gotten to the Supreme Court? It's not about him being white. It's about the socioeconomic matching of Ketanji Brown Jackson and her husband, Dr. Jackson. And as we are, some of you are young ladies, and I do the business of marriage every once in a while, and we have these discussions. I bring up Umar here because there is not only the gender divide with regards to Black men and Black women, but this huge subsection of gender divide with us as upwardly mobile, making good money Black women starting to move to, non-Black men. So I definitely want to get Mocha Mommy in this first because we had talked about this offline. Mocha Mommy, what do you think?
Well, I had featured her in my video, The Secret Life of Swirlers. So Ketanji Brown Jackson, like a lot of Black women, did extremely well, extremely academically gifted. Was doing private equity law and just got burnt out, especially trying to be married, have a husband that had a demanding career, having kids. So she went into the federal legal system in order to get a better work-life balance where she would have federal holidays and weekends off. And if she had to focus on being the primary breadwinner, she would have never had that opportunity. And then she would have never had the opportunity to raise through the ranks of the federal court system. Like, she really did it for work-life balance, knowing that she could be off when her kids were off of school, knowing that she would have weekends off when her spouse was on call, knowing that she would get off at 5 p.m. and if he had to take a 24-hour call. So that was a strategic move on her part for work-life balance, leaving private equity law where there is no clock, to something. And how many Black women, I mean, Computer and Coin, you can testify this, in healthcare, can't walk away because they're the primary breadwinners of their home. And they can't walk away to something that has a better work-life balance. And they can't they can't take that year off of LV, of school to get that, to go from LVN to RN, or to go from RN to FNP, or they can't take that year and a half off because they need to work full-time plus to support a family. I mean, I'm just saying, like, yeah, your partner has a lot to do with your upward mobility. A lot. I mean, seriously, there was a point in time where I was able to walk away from my career to go and get an advanced degree and advanced certifications because my husband was able to cover the bills. I wouldn't be where I am now had he not supported me through that time. That took me about 3 years. I mean, ladies, it really does make a big difference.
Good point. Brown skin girls or dark and lovely, do you have a comment?
I have one comment. What I noticed with my colleagues, I'm talking about, I'm asking questions, you know, particularly the Black people and the men, and I get the feeling with the men, they're complacent with just the physical labor jobs. And I asked them about these programs. They're not even trying to look into it. I even heard one guy said he'd rather work hard physically than work hard mentally, which was troubling to me. The one guy in the building, I just struck up a conversation with him, was from across the border, the southern border. He had more details to give me about it than I knew about how the process worked, because he's already applied for it. He's just waiting for them to send him the voucher. So there is a difference in how Black men operate and think versus other men. And if we are being upwardly mobile, we're taking that into consideration and starting to realize we need to go with the people who are aligned with where we're going.
Yeah, and I do want to say that I'm not against the blue collar man, because there are some blue collar men that open up very profitable HVAC companies or plumbing companies or electrician, Dirty Jobs was on CNBC. They're big people making big money hauling junk. But if you are an upwardly mobile woman, even though the guy is making, 80,000, 90,000, 100,000, even 120,000, if you're an upwardly mobile woman, thinking about, is he going to grow with you to become not just the laborer, but also the entrepreneur? Because we had someone fix our appliance, our refrigerator the other day, and he said, yeah, but my knees are giving out on me now, etc. So does the blue collar man have a plan for when his knees give out on him, if and when he gets diabetes, things like that? Because if he doesn't, then that socioeconomic pole is going to have an issue, cause an issue as well. So anything else from any of you ladies before I jump to the next topic?
Yeah, I will say that the wealthiest person I know is a roofer. He's a millionaire several times over. Oh, he does roofs in Tornado Alley. Like, of course, he's very wealthy, but, went from being a roofer to owning a roofing company, buying it from somebody whose son didn't want to inherit the business. And then now he pretty much almost controls like the supply chain of shingles in this part of Texas. Extremely well, like I said. So, again, a man with a plan, and it really doesn't matter what. My dad, electrician for years, and then went into the supply side. So again, ladies, be having those conversations always with men who are upwardly, no matter what they do, because you just never know. Because again, this roofer, guess what? He needs somebody to manage his website. So he might need somebody in tech. You know what I mean? This roofer may need somebody with a logistics degree.
Yeah, some of the most profitable blue collar men have wives that run the administrative office side of their business. She's making sure the invoices get in, that the invoices are paid, that the subcontractors are paid, that they're going after government contracts, things like that. I've seen some very powerful couples, where that's what the husband and wife do, and it works for them. But
Right.
again,
And
he
and
owns the
when my
company.
hospital system was looking for telemedicine, my husband's cybersecurity company had like secure communication channels. Now, even though his company didn't get the bid, but imagine how that made him look to his boss.
Yeah, because your wife is now an asset to the company. I wanted Natural Hair has something really good, and I want to add something to it here. Says attend colleges where you can mingle with people that you would like to potentially mate with. If you are beyond college, think about conferences that you are going to. Not just meetups, but the conferences that you're going to. Mocha Mommy always talks about the sports bars you're going to and how to, engage in conversation with people there. Um, Golf tournaments is another big thing, golf charity stuff. So definitely, but if you have a young, lady who is entering college, definitely having her think. I grew up at a time where it was always just focus on the books, focus on the books. And that is starting to shift now, where young ladies go to college to also focus on the networks that they're making and who they can meet there. And that may potentially turn into somebody that they could marry. Obviously, not at 21, but they could stay in touch with that person. They can grow with that person. And who
Exactly.
knows, at 24, 25 years old, if she's known him throughout college and they've grown together, that may be a good mate for her. And they are good socioeconomically. They're one of the things that Dr. Banks always talks about is the mismatch. He mentioned that consistently. Too many of us as upwardly mobile Black women are mismatched with the men that we're choosing. And I think that that is the high reason for us having higher divorce rates than we do marriage rates. I don't have any proof of that. That's just my gut feeling.
Right. And I would say that a lot when I went back to be a allied health nursing instructor on the community college level. I would say, like, hey, ladies, use this opportunity to make friends with the guys who are in your prereq courses for biology, for chemistry, because, there were some classes that were like, they were easier for the allied health students. And I'm like, no, do the regular one. Because number one, you never know if you want to get a bachelor's degree. And number two, you want to network with these guys. Because in Texas, a lot of times that those boys who take those STEM classes, they get poached by the oil and gas industry. And I'm like, once they are leaving the campus to go in the oil and gas industry, they go from being the star of their high school, the star of campus, to being a cog in the wheel. And they don't have as many social opportunities to meet people. And then also too, so that girl from college who they can still talk to is a potential mate when they get older. And also a lot of times these jobs can put you way out in the sticks. Like I'm sure brown skinned girls can tell you that a lot of these tech companies are up and moving to other parts of the country to decrease their operating costs. How many single people do you think are in some of these towns where they're trying to develop? So I'm just saying, ladies, just keep in contact, keep in touch.
Absolutely. Well, let's move on to the next thing here. Number 13, the rise of Black girl luxury and the Black girl follow train. I love this. I love seeing more Black women come together. Black girl luxury, I think, shifts us from always being in struggle mode to actually seeing ourselves being able to have a luxury life. Now, we need to have a luxury life while also not doing it on credit. So, financial lesson there. But I love the fact that so many Black women are focusing on where we can be and the fact that we do deserve it. I personally am more of an experiences person than Louis and Gucci and all of that. But, to each is her own with regards to this. And then the Black girl follow train. So proud. I'm not on TikTok at all, but I've obviously heard of the Black girl follow train. And I'm so proud of Black women actually supporting other Black women. So I'll open it up to the panel. Y'all have anything to say about this?
I'm not on TikTok either, but you had talked about it as a potential for small business owners. I think Black Girl Follow Train is great. And the black girl luxury, I think it depends on what you consider luxury, right? If the travel or if the items. But I've found that, especially with my daughter buying certain fashion items that I guess you would consider luxury because I think they're too expensive. Buying and flipping is a business. Like, I think we saw it, and some people saw it, materialism. But no, buying certain things, holding on to them, and then flipping them, certain shoes, purses, clothing items. I didn't realize that was a business. I thought that was interesting that some of these women have used it as business opportunities to open like online thrift stores and to be social media influencers. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I actually had a client in my business plan business, and they have a platform that they're building out for people who want to buy and sell their luxury handbags and things like that. It is a whole industry. And then she's also adding experiences in there as well, where people can experience swap in luxury. So, yeah, and this is a Black woman. So let's move on then to some more of the mess. Kanye, Will Smith, Ime Udoka, TJ Holmes. TJ Holmes, I saw a couple of days ago, he's still with the woman, Amy. They were cuddled up at the airport. They're still together. He's divorcing his wife. But I really want to talk about this with regards to, and this is not men, this is just in general, people cutting up at work. Why are we like messing up our bag? And when I talked to Mocha Mommy about this earlier, when I was younger, my family always said, and I'm going to use a curse word here, so excuse this, you don't shit where you eat. So when I was coming up, I was very cautious about not getting involved with men at the workplace and watching what I did at the workplace, because for so many of us, if we lose our jobs, like our family suffers. We can't afford that. But I'll toss it out to any of you ladies to talk about some of the financial lessons we can learn from all of this mess that's on the screen here.
I just did a show on this on the social media side of things, like why people are telling their business on social media. I covered the story about the Black woman who got fired, and also a woman who was telling her salary and showing sensitive company information on her TikTok. The financial lesson for me here is just, like you said, work is work. Don't mix personal, social, don't mix anything with work. You go and you work. You can do a little banter here and there and use your network, but anything personal that has nothing to do with work, don't do it. And also the social media side of things too. If you have to question if you should post it or not, or if it's in the company guidelines, just don't do it. And also with TJ and I can't pronounce his name, Ime. I think I said it right.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like the company policies too. You don't know what you're posting or what you're doing. You could be violating contracts, violating rules, code of ethics, so it's just best to, anything you wouldn't want to see your mom or your grandma doing, apply the same thing to work. Social media gives you a lot of opportunities, and everybody wants to be a star and a celebrity and be the it girl or the it guy. But you see, you're going to be the it guy and the it girl. But like I said on the other topics, are these likes, are these follows, are these comments going to translate to money for you when your company sees what you're doing and fires you, whether it's on social media or in real time, in the case of some of the people here? So that's my thoughts on it.
Anybody else before we jump into the next story?
I would just like to say, not just in romantic relationships, just be careful on what you tell your coworkers in regards to your private life. Giving them too much insight to your private life may work against you. And I'm always telling this one manager, she's young, fresh out of college, you need to learn how to keep your mouth closed about your personal business. And so just being mindful that your personal life is your personal life. Your colleagues are not your friends. They're merely associates that you work with and treat them accordingly. That's it.
Amen. I have the saying, I am friendly, but I am not your friend.
Right.
I am friendly, but I am not your friend.
That's
I,
good.
yeah. It takes a lot for me to become friends with somebody at work, and I've only done that once, like become good friends with somebody. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I do push a lot of sports content. Like, it's water cooler talk that's benign, right? You talk about what team you like. Did you see the game this weekend? Blah, blah, blah. It's a way to network, but it keeps it pretty benign. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you might get, some people might say, you know, oh, I saw the game with my grandpa or blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, it keeps it pretty benign. Like, if you read a lot and you watch sports, I'm telling you, you'll always have workplace conversation, and you don't have to get too much into your personal life, but you can still be friendly.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's move to the next one here. Give me a sec. These men ain't geniuses. That's all I gotta say. Like, you know, I every time I see like the rise of a person and people are like, they're a genius, he's a genius. Very rarely it's a she, but you know, I'm like, no, no, no. I will like people's ideas. I don't follow anybody, not even BWE content creators. And as much as I love Mocha Mommy, not even Mocha Mommy, who is here with us right now, I don't follow anybody blindly. And I'm also here to say to all of you ladies, don't follow me blindly. You know, take the things that I say with a grain of salt and compare them to the data that's out there, as well as your personal experiences and what works for you. But we need to stop giving people the mantle of genius, because once they get the mantle of genius, they run it up, and then, you know, we end up with three messes that are on the screen right here. So anybody has anything to say about this foolishness?
Elon, you know, when he was here in Austin being an engineer, he's a brilliant engineer. He's not a CEO. That's the problem. He's a great engineer, but he's not a CEO. And I think Kanye, you know, at one point I did think he was a good musician, but, and as far as fashion, he looks a little homeless chic to me, but you know, a lot of that was not real money in the bank. It was deals on paper, projected deals on paper. So I don't know. And the FTX crypto, unfortunately, I don't know enough about crypto to be invested in it. I only do like crypto mining stocks and things like that. But I just felt like I didn't know enough about it. And I felt like I never got a good answer. So that's what made me leery of it. So I'm not saying I would never do it, but I'm just saying I haven't gotten a great answer yet. And what's his name? Feynman? Is that his name?
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, Bankman-Fried. I feel like I never got a good answer from him as a potential customer.
Didn't have any good answers. That's the problem. One of the issues is that all three of these men that are on here were propped up. They were propped up by, Elon Musk was propped up by grants that he received for Tesla in the early days, and, you know, people propping him up that way. Kanye was propped up in the music industry. Sam Bankman-Fried paid for a lot of the press that he got, saying, you know, how much of a genius he was. A lot. I only barely trust anybody who's getting a lot of press, because a lot of that press is paid for. A lot of it. So, anybody else have something to say about the men on this before we move on to the next thing? Okay. The next is, unfortunately, Shanquella Robinson and her death. Obviously, it still really hurts what happened to her. Last I heard, we still don't have any arrests, unless I'm mistaken. Becoming Boss C, try to get back in. I clicked on you. Try to get back in. This goes to show, it may seem like this is some hood stuff, but I've done a previous broadcast about this. This also affects you professionally as well. People look at who you hang around with in order to determine if they're going to let you through the next door. So, as professional Black women, I'm just encouraging all of you to really, really think about the people that you are associating with, not just in your personal life, but also in your corporate or professional life. Definitely be careful who you go on vacation with. Another big thing that I have to say is there are a lot of women who are being flown out by people and don't have the money to get home. Never, ever, 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 ever walk out of your house to a date without having the Uber money yourself to get home. Never leave your city without the money to get back home. And damn sure never leave the United States of America without being able to get home. Also, be careful where you are going. My mother years ago, she's probably going to hate that I tell the story, but she'll never listen to this. She had a chance to go to Iraq. And my mother travels all over the world. And that was like, I very rarely say no to my mom, but that was the one time I said, absolutely not. And she said, why not? And I said, because if something happened to you in Iraq, I wouldn't know where to start to get you out of there. And you know what? She listened to me. Thank goodness, because I wasn't going to let her board a plane to Iraq. Like, no way. So, we just have to be careful overall, and we have to start thinking 5 steps ahead of everybody. Chestnut checkers, as we're always saying on this channel. So I'm going to open it up to anybody else to talk about Shanquella overall, or the financial lessons we can learn from this.
I came across a video where this young lady, she has a successful YouTube page, and I'm kind of upset that I don't remember her name right now. But she went for a birthday trip, her birthday. Her friends had the rooms in their name, and she got upset. The friend got upset because she said that she should leave this guy alone because he wanted her to pay him to come back to her. Just a messy situation. So she got abandoned in Amsterdam. And so her parents arranged for her to come home. She said after that she traveled alone, solo traveled, and there's a program with the American Embassy that you register. So if you travel, if you alert them to where you're going, they get your itinerary and all of that information, and and they look out for you while you're in the country. They kind of know where you are. If something was to happen, say a riot or some type of incident, if there's some kind of crime wave happening or whatever is happening, you are alerted. She said one trip, it was a situation where they were getting people out of the country, and they alerted her. And because she was registered through that program, she was able to safely get out the country. So ladies, be sure to look into that as an extra safety precaution.
Yeah, if you could put that in the comments, that'd be
yes, please.
Yeah.
Also, travel insurance as well. If something happens to you, a lot of these countries we're going to do not have good medical. And if you need to be flown out of, because of a medical emergency, I don't care if you're 22 years old, you never know what's going to happen. Getting some of that travel insurance to make sure that you could get on the first thing smoking out if you run into a medical emergency, again, chestnut checkers. But yeah, definitely put that in the chat for us, because we need to know these things. We need to protect
I know that there's a thing too, like if you do the train travel through Europe, there's extra travel insurance you can purchase, that in case you lose a passport, in case you get separated from your group, in case you miss the departure for an excursion, anything. So please make it a point to travel safely. And yeah, oh my gosh, this is still so sad. This is still so sad. Like, I have young adult kids who are talking about going overseas, and this This makes me sad and scared for them because they should be enjoying themselves and having a great time. And the fact that you have to even think about this is sad.
Yeah. Fine womanhood. Welcome, my dear. If you want to come up, you can. Oops, we have just a few more topics to talk about. So let's move then to the next thing here, and definitely rest in peace, Shanquella. It's getting real in here. We've talked a lot about the haves and the have-nots, and armed guards are at a Philadelphia gas station. There's a lot happening in our country with regards to crime, and unfortunately, Black women, because of the neighborhoods that a lot of us live in, we are going to have issues with some of this. So I want to actually show you all the news story with regards to this. Give me a second here to pull it up. Here we go.
Got a question for you. Would this make you feel safe? Take a look. A security guard armed with a semi-automatic weapon. It's happening at a North Philly gas station. The owner coming up with the idea to scare off criminals. If you saw this, this is our go vote for tonight. Would you feel safer or uncomfortable? So right now the vote is 65% of you saying safer, 35% uncomfortable. So be sure to vote at fox29.com.
Can you all hear? I feel like it's going in and out.
No,
Yeah, I
you're
can
saying
hear.
the vote, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Go vote. Shawnette, you spoke with the gas station owner who says this is needed to keep both his workers and customers safe.
Yeah, interesting listening to those numbers you just gave us, Sheba. So the store manager says that he had to do something more than call 911. And most customers, I'll tell you, that I talked to this evening on and off camera say that they support this, but there were a few who say they don't believe this is the right approach. Hired security strapped with AR-15s or shotguns, standing guard and walking the property of this North Philly gas station and convenience store.
This is supposed to be a city, right? And you got the kids walking around. Guns like that should be on the battlefield.
Corey Berry says she's on board with it.
If you're trying to get gas, you live in a bad area, and the only place is here, and they're getting robbed all the time, I mean, I support the owner.
Neil Patel is the manager of this Carco shop franchise at Broad and Clearfield.
We are tired from this all nonsense. Robbery, drug trafficking, racketings, all kind of hanging around all gangs.
He shared with me these videos of what has led up to this drastic response to crime at his business. Over the past few weeks, he says his store was trashed by young people, an ATM stolen out of the store, and he says his car was vandalized while parked at the store.
They're forcing us to hire the security, high-level security, state level.
Oh, boy. Natural Hair is saying invest in prison stocks. I'm being serious for those of y'all in Chicago. Stay safe with the new laws that, oh, that's right. I forgot to put that in January 1st. Yes, please.
Yeah. And they say it's not true, but whew.
Yeah. Okay. So, I don't know how many of you all saw the movie The Big Short, or you're familiar with The Big Short. It was the guy who in 2008, he called the mortgage crisis,
yeah.
the housing crisis. He called it like a year in advance. People laughed at him, and he ended up making a killing because he was called the subprime mortgage crisis, right? He now has invested heavily. When I say heavily, I mean heavily into prison stocks. Heavily, okay? So this whole crime thing, the haves and the have-nots, Ericka Williams talks about this all the time, the fact that there are master communities now. You're going to have to like apply to get in. They're going to check you up and down. They're going to check your boyfriend up and down, your husband up and down, your sons, even your daughters, right? This thing is about to get real. And yeah, I would feel more secure going to a gas station. First of all, I like make sure I'm full before I leave my area. But yeah, I'm going to the place with the AR-15. Okay. Versus just pumping anywhere. So I'll open it up to the panel here with regards to this.
Yeah, this is a another sign of this. And another thing that's people aren't talking about, this armed security, all of this stuff is going to get big, especially with what happened in 2020. I don't want to say words that'll get the channel flagged, but what happened with that and how people are reacting to the police, they're getting ready to just quit and work privately for people and just not care. They'll make more money for themselves and their families, and they'll probably be in another class, so they won't care. So this is the future, in my opinion. I think the general police will only come if you're like literally getting murdered, and then everything else is going to be left to private policing and bodyguards and things like that. And this all was ushered in from 2020. I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anybody else?
Agreed.
Okay.
Being former military, a lot of these privates, there are people I served with, and they don't wear body cams. And these are guys who were taking out like, high level security clearance, high level weapons specialists, excellent marksmen, and they do go to the highest bidder. Yeah, and they are making very good money with that former military. I mean, we pulled out of Afghanistan. That experienced work labor had to go somewhere, and they're doing well for themselves. Like Brown Skin Girl says, they're doing very well for themselves.
Now, I will say this, ladies, some of you need to go into this business of hiring, doing the security background checks, all of that, make sure they're not crazy. I know a Black woman who trains different police departments. She was in the military for many years and she ran the weapons thing, blah, blah, blah. I don't know like all of the terminology, but she's flipped that into a business now where she trains people to be, to use these types of weapons and things like that. So some of you can do the whole Ericka Williams middleman to millions thing and turn this into a business, because this guy here that's on the screen, this is a test. If this works and his numbers, revenues shoot up, everybody is going to be doing this.
I would like to say that I'm already seeing it with the pandemic, population dispersed across the city. And I've seen it in the Dollar Tree, Target, and Walmart security. So it's already happening.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it in private schools after Uvalde.
Especially with that. I had that on on Uvalde and Buffalo on the list, but we had so many things that I ended up taking it off. But yeah, look, you had cops at Uvalde that didn't move in. Yeah, if I had a 6-year-old, I'm looking for this, or I'm homeschooling. And you can't homeschool, ladies, if you don't have the household income and the stay-at-home job to support that. This is again why we're in the fight for resources and we're losing as a Black female collective. So, all right, let's move to the next thing here. This is a mess. Y'all recognize Themis, right? Shout out to Themis. I cloud watch Themis. I've never been in the chat. Y'all will never know I'm there, but I do cloud watch Themis. Okay. Themis did a broadcast, and there was a guy named Orange Pill that was on. And Orange Pill apparently does not want a woman who owns a home. Okay, so I'm going to actually share a little bit of the broadcast with you. So give me a second to pull it up here. Let's listen to this.
So the modern man, not the modern woman, the modern man is in a crisis in today's society. The crisis for the modern man is that women have been raised to be independent and not need a man. So because of this, we have men lost and adrift. And there is not a real way for them to fully understand how to engage with women, because these women don't necessarily need them. Am I correct in this assertion? Orange pill, yes or no? Just yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Clarence, do you agree with that? I don't think we've ever spoken. Do you agree with this assessment?
Yes and no.
Oh, all right. Obi, do you agree with this assessment?
Yes.
All right. You said no. What part do you not agree with, Clarence?
Well, it depends on the two people getting together. You know, if a woman has her own, that's something as a man you gotta make a decision and see if you're gonna deal with it. Now, if you somebody want a traditional,
Why is that something to deal with?
I'm removing someone. They're
if you're a man and you want a traditional relationship, then that's what you need to focus on and try to get. So that's why I say, yes and no. It all depends.
All right, Orange Pill. I feel like that's the very short question answer. So do you understand that, like, if a woman has her own and you don't want to deal with a woman who has her own, find a woman who doesn't have her own?
It depends on what your definition of has her own is, because you guys are talking about job and house and everything else. So what is her own? Because I don't want to agree to something like, well, has her own, and y'all say what has her own is later. Does has her own mean a house too?
Yes.
Has her own house? No. If that's going to be in your definition of has her own, then no. I wouldn't look for a woman that has her own house.
You heard it. You heard it. I remember having to rewind that back when I first heard it in this conversation and thinking, wow, because first of all, most men, and definitely in the Black community, most men, but even most white men, cannot afford for you to be a traditional wife, not bringing in any income. Okay. The second thing is that if you have done well for yourself, and let's say you're in your late 20s, I saw an Instagram post a while ago. This young lady, 28 years old, she's doing really well. I think she was a project manager in IT or something like that, and she bought her own home. There is a natural progression that is supposed to happen in life, and home ownership is part of that natural progression. And I just remembered, like, outside of number 12 with Dr. Umar getting the biggest laugh, like, this was the second thing I got the biggest laugh out of in 2022. Yeah, I'm being petty, but that's a part of today's broadcast, is Cherie gets to be a little petty here. So what do you all think?
I've sat on a few of Themis's channels, and Orange Pill's kind of a troll. So I'm not sure how serious he is. But interesting.
But Mocha Mama, the other guy had kind of agreed with him too. That Clarence guy, he didn't agree with the house, but he was like, no, in regards to wanting a traditional woman.
Yeah, I do think that they're saying this, but then once they hit a certain age, they're looking for those women because they know they need their health insurance and they need, you know what I mean? Like I think you should see what they say and what they do, especially being in healthcare. You see that a lot. I'm sure, Computer and Coin and some of the other nurses in the chat, we're always getting hit on by these guys because they know we have good paychecks and stability, and they know that about us, and they sometimes pursue us for that reason. So they're saying this to make you think that they're doing you a favor. Like, well, most men don't like women who have stable paychecks and homes, but I'll give you a chance. I don't know what the mindset is behind it.
I don't get it. Now I will tell you, years ago, this is a little difference in the communities. Years ago, I knew um, a husband and wife. They were in their mid 40s. They had a young son who was in college, or he just graduated from college, and they put down the down payment for him to buy a home. Um, and he, like, we call it house hacked. He rented out the rooms to his college buddies, and he was basically able to live for free out of this home, right? Then around age 25, 26, he gets married. The girl has a home, he has a home. They do what? They rent out the two homes that they have, and they go and they buy their home that they want to, start raising kids in, etc. We're looking at the accumulation of assets with something like this. And the fact that, and let's say Orange Pill is trolling. There are young men probably looking at Themis, listening to Themis's chat. They're obviously not looking at Themis thinking this, because Themis wouldn't, go for this. But that are taking this in and saying, yeah, we're right. We don't want a woman who owns a home. We don't want a woman who, because yeah, she decided on this mortgage and I didn't have a say in that mortgage. When we are fighting for the accumulation of assets, everybody, please like the video and share the live. Please do. Yes. So the reason that I highlighted this is because there's a huge disconnect. And this is not just Black men, Black women, just, even though it's most prevalent with us, that we're in the fight for resources here. And we're talking to men who don't want us to come with any resources, or say they don't, like Mocha Mommy is saying, wait until the right woman comes along, and then they do, or they get the right age. So.
I don't know. I did own a home before I got married. And he owned property as well. And again, it ended up helping us in our future, and now having to navigate for our children's future, because, Texas veterans get special rates for loans. And when we did it as two unmarried people, it made two separate households, two separate loan agreements, two separate, you know what I mean? So it was able to benefit us in the future. And I'm just saying, like, ladies, what Black women making money saying and networking, you're going to find that other men see that as an asset. Like one of the ladies I mentor, his parents gave him money for a down payment for a home, but because she was a veteran, you don't have to make a down payment. She got favorable loans. They were able to buy a lot of points and put a significant amount of money down to borrow less. And now she only has to work part-time as a result. So other people see that as an asset.
Becoming Boss C, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for
Hi.
having me. I just want to say that I hope 2023 brings consistency to Black America, especially the gender relations, because, men they say they want to go 50-50 with women. Then it's, no, I want to be more traditional. I want to be the sole provider. I think they really need to make sure that they're on their code first, so that we can follow the program or choose whether we want to deal with them or not. But it's just very disheartening.
I think that it's best for us as women to figure out what program we want to follow, and then decide on your we call it not negotiables, but the things that you will not allow,
Yes.
and then everything else you're flexible on. Because if you wait for any man of any race to give you his program, I think that's a disaster. So
I agree with that too, but I think they at least need to be upfront with what they want, so that the women can choose what they will tolerate and what they will not tolerate. The other thing I wanted to say is that this is really true. This is not just a trolling thing. I've heard real men say, like, they don't want their women to have history of traveling internationally or going to exotic locations because they're scared that they have nothing to bring to the table, or it's just very insane and weird to me, but that's the life that we're living right now, unfortunately.
yeah. And I heard a woman, you may be able to put her in the pick me category, but she's not as hardcore as some of the other women. But she, very much teaches about being a traditional wife and things like that. And even she talked about that. Like, don't travel because then your husband won't have any place to bring you that's new. Let me tell you something. The world is super huge. I've been to Italy before, but guess what? I haven't been to Tuscany. I haven't been to some of the other cities in Italy. So there's always some place that a man can bring you that you haven't been before. Also, even if you've been to a city before, I've been to Paris before, I didn't get to see it all, you know? So I think that this whole thing of men being nervous about you've traveled before and I haven't been to this city, a lot of these cities are super big. A lot of these countries are big. We haven't been everywhere. So if there's any man clout watching today, like, don't let that stop you from a great woman because she's been to Italy before and you haven't been there. Like, some of this advice that's being thrown out is dumb. I'll say it. It's dumb. And I hate to use that term, but it is. Anybody else have anything else to say about this before we move on to our last two?
Just keep allowing these people to select themselves out of your lives. Like, there's no point in arguing. Like, a few years ago I would have argued, but it's no point. He probably won't get picked, and that's all I have to say. Good luck getting picked, sir.
Amen.
Well, apparently he's already married, so Orange Pill is picked. But the real question is the comments that he's saying, do they line up with the woman he selected? And we'll never know that because we don't know these people, right? But listening to some of the advice that's being given is kind of like, it's strange. It's very strange. So, all right, let's move on then to the last two. The Black woman therapist was fired. I know I shouldn't be laughing at this. I'm laughing for a very specific reason. This story, as some of you may not know, there was a Black woman therapist who made some TikToks suggesting that Black men get therapy, and she was fired. And of course, there was a lot of discussion about her being fired. People doxed her, things like that. And I definitely don't support that. But I want to show you a video of this young lady, and then we're going to come back and have some commentary about this. So let's see here. Let's see what she has to say. And more importantly, come to the screen and pay attention to how she's dressed, because I think this has something to do with it.
Say you need to expand your emotional vocabulary. It's so your life can be easier. Don't you want to be able to communicate with your I think yes, right? Long gone are the days where you can just shut down tolerating that. Like, it used to be where men provided financially or with schmeat and can make their own self and we can pay for our own shit. So I'm gonna need y'all to catch up on the emotional part. If I'm telling you, I need you to communicate more. Open your mouth. But you know what I realized? And let me back up. A common misconception about me as a clinician is that 90% of my clientele have been men. Black men specifically. And what we specifically work on is expanding their emotional vocabulary, because a lot of y'all mother even have the words to express how you're feeling. This weird ass world that is so hard on y'all, like, let's acknowledge that the world is very difficult for y'all, but y'all are not making it any easier, bruh. You're not. When telling y'all to go to therapy, it's not for us, it's for y'all sad motherfuckers.
Okay. Oh gosh, there's so many things wrong with this. The first thing is, it's not what she said, it's how she said it. The second thing is she is dressed very inappropriately. I know that certain people in YouTube talked about the fact that she was speaking in a way for her target audience, but this ain't it. The third thing is, I don't know if you all saw, I look at people's surroundings as well. She has stuff all over the place, all over the floor, her closet showing, things like that. This social media thing, as much of a blessing as it's been, it's a huge curse as well. This, when they look up this young lady's name and they think, do we want to give her, like she was fired, so she's going to try to apply for another job. How many opportunities do you think she's actually going to have? Not many.
Yeah, it's going to be very limited.
It's going to be hard. Even if she decides I'm going to open up my own practice, if she continues serving Black men, these men are not paying from their own pockets. They probably are court ordered, which means that the companies get a government contract. I just don't know. This is where people are not thinking 5 steps ahead before they put stuff up on social media.
Yeah,
Yeah. Jesus. Go ahead, Mocha Mommy.
Yeah, brown skin girl had made she did a live stream about this, and I know I've made those mistakes too, and hence having to cover my face and check, especially if I'm saying something like medical related, or because that becomes a licensing issue. Even if you're off shift, using things that you think are private might not be, geez, I mean, there's so much that comes with it. And I definitely think that probably her demographic does talk like that, which is why she talked like that. And probably the way she was dressed, I mean, yeah, I mean, she didn't come across super professional, but I don't think she was trying to. I think she was trying to be approachable for that audience, but then it just backfired. So I'm telling you, it could, I think this is a wake-up call for a lot of us on social media. I think this is a wake-up call. It's a huge wake-up call.
It was a wake-up call for some people, and other people, based on the commentary I heard, didn't learn a damn thing from this young lady. People were saying, oh, she's feminist. No, that's not why she was fired. Oh, she told Black men to get therapy and that's why she was fired. No, that wasn't why she was fired. She was fired because of how she said it and how she was dressed and how she represented the company talking about therapy issues.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, serious. I mean, whew, I feel this is a more severe case of something that we see all the time. How many nurses have been fired for just talking about their day and they were still in their scrubs or in the employee break room?
That recent one that came out in Atlanta, that the story of the 4 nurses and the things that they hate, and all
So this is such a common problem. And brown skin girls, thanks for shouting this out. And in a live stream, because I feel like all of us have made this mistake to some degree. Well, I can't say all of us. I have made this mistake. Maybe not to this degree, but I have certainly made this mistake as well.
Yeah, Mocha Mommy, I think you and I are of a specific age where we didn't have social media. So because of that, our mistakes were never seen, or they were never seen by the masses. Because trust me, I've made mistakes as well. Whereas young women today, you have to be especially careful because the tweets you're putting up, the TikToks you're putting up, you don't have Kardashian money to bury this stuff. When people search and they will search your name on all social channels, that's part of HR now, and recruiting, when they search your name, is this going to be what they see? Because people don't want the liability. People don't want the liability. So, okay, let's do the final thing. Cheryl Lee Ralph wins the Emmy. Shout out to Cheryl Lee Ralph for, first of all, looking magical. I had never seen Abbott Elementary before. I had heard about it, but I had never seen it. But she gave one of the most impressive speeches. And as she won her Emmy, let's check this out really quickly.
To anyone who has ever had a dream and thought your dream wouldn't, couldn't come true, I am here to tell you that this is what believing looks like. This is what striving looks like. And don't you ever give up on you, because if you get a Quinta Brunson in your corner, if you get a husband like mine in your corner, if you get children like mine in your corner, and if you've got friends like everybody who voted for me, cheered for me, love me, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Boy, that's Cheryl Lee Ralph.
That's
Powerful.
66, y'all. Black don't crack.
Dream girl. You know, she was Moesha's mother. Legendary. Legendary. She talked about the people that were in her corner, her husband, her children, and then Quinta Brunson gave her a chance. If you've ever had a dream and it seems like it's not coming true, but you know you have the talent for it, ladies, and Cheryl Lee Ralph is talented in this. And she kept at it. She stayed at it. She kept at it. She stayed at it. She commanded that stage that evening, and she looked radiant. She sang before this, but I decided not to put the singing in there, but definitely go and check out her song. And, you know, I wanted to leave you with something uplifting with these 20 things. The financial lesson is to believe in yourself, work on your craft, and get with the right people. Because if you are talented and you have the right people behind you, you are unstoppable. So I'm going to open it up to my panel here.
I think she said everything I wanted to say. There's nothing else to be said. She cleared the room.
I agree. Let's just remind ourselves through her journey that it's not over for us, and we can still make it happen.
I just want my legs to look like that.
I know.
I just want my legs to look like that.
Your legs, your arms,
yes,
that glow, that I don't know what those it's not diamonds, but the cubic zirconium through that ponytail, and the melanin was popping and everything. I mean, you know, selfish love, welcome.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I just wanted to come on, and I did not want to interrupt before you finished speaking about Cheryl, but I wanted to say thank you, Cherie. Thank you, Mocha Mommy. Thank you, Brown Skin Girls. You all are doing the next level in the level up. Not none of this. I want to talk in a soft voice to get the man of my dreams. And I want to sit around and do nothing all day while he works. And you ladies are the level up. The level up that we all need to see, the actionable level up that we all need to see. And I just wanted to thank you all for your contributions that you made in 2022.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate personally, you pretty much always being on the lives and, talking in the chat and things like that. I don't take any of that for granted. The most precious time that anyone has, most precious thing that anyone has is their time. And anybody who would come and spend time with me on my lives, because I don't talk about the all frilly stuff or the stuff that's easy to digest. I really, talk about deeper things and actionable things. And I thank everybody who participates in these discussions. So thank you,
This is
Selfish Love.
exactly why I try to make all of your lives. Because I always leave with something to research. I'm working on something in the background that I probably will get your opinion on. Not
Okay.
even probably. I know 1000% I'm going to get your opinion on. I'm going to get Mocha Mommy's opinion on, to just help take Black women to the next level so we can be competitive within this next decade coming up, within the recession coming up. So you ladies are true inspiration, and I appreciate you all so much.
We appreciate you too. Uh, so we have overstayed our time, but if anybody else has anything else that you're doing in 2023, you can shout out your channels, anything like that. This is, our final goodbyes.
I just oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I just want to take an opportunity to thank you, ladies. Like Selfish Love said, well, I try to catch your lives, but most of the times I don't. But I do make sure I watch the replays. But you all, if no one tells you, you all are making a huge impact. Your content and you yourselves just being simply who you are, that's appreciated in this space. And you all need to know that. So if the numbers don't show now, they will eventually show. But what you're doing is completely awesome. We love you. We appreciate you. Please continue. We need you.
Yes, we need you. So I don't care how small your channel is, we need you.
Thank you. Thank you. And look, I know that this channel is going to be small. I discussed it with, if it wasn't Mocha Mommy, it was somebody, it was Fine Womanhood, actually. YouTube will never be my full-time income because I refuse to say the things that the algorithms appreciate. So in exchange for that, this will always be the place that hopefully you can get real practical information as well as the motivation that you need to succeed. So, we will be the little engine that could over here for as long as we need to be.
And before I forget to mention this, that travel information, what I told you, is the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. I will post a comment once you post this video. I will post the comment with the link and the name of the program. So under your comment section of your video.
Perfect. And then I'll pin it so people can find it easily. Anybody else? 2023 plans, what you thought about 2022? Anything else before we wrap up?
I'll do it quickly. I just want to thank everybody who has supported my channel. I know we have overlapping subscribers. I want to thank you, Mocha Mommy, because Mocha Mommy, she's like a gem. And I just want you to know how much we appreciate you, Mocha Mommy. I did things, I did a certain chat with her I was in a different side of things. And she told me to start my channel, and other people did too. But I was very scared. But once I got to the level I am now, I'm not higher, but like once I got to where, okay, this can actually be done, and encouraged me to do it. So I want to thank Mocha Mommy for that. And I want to thank you, Black Women Making Money, for, just having good live streams. I see you a lot in Ericka Williams' platform, and I just really appreciate the advice you give there and on your own channel. And I just want to thank everyone who supports me. I guess 2022 showed me that it can be done, and that it taught me to encourage other people and to share the wealth and share the knowledge. So in 2023, I guess I'm going to be investing a lot more into my channel, putting myself out there more, and getting a lot of content through that I've promised but haven't. I'm going to talk about LinkedIn and different things like that. So I'm excited to see where 2023 takes all of our channel. But I just want to tell you, Black women, it can be done. You can do it if you hunker down and focus. Don't listen to what other people are saying to neg you, to get you off of the square of what you're doing. If you put in the work and you focus on one thing, it can blossom into something much bigger, do it for yourself, do it for your children, and just keep working at it, because eventually you'll look around yourself in the life you built for yourself, whether it's marriage and children, the rich auntie lifestyle, traveling, being an academic, whatever it is, you're going to look at the life you built. And if you stuck to it, you're going to really appreciate it. Faith without works is dead. You already have the faith. You just need to put in that work. So that's all I have to say. And I want to thank you for opening up your platform to me today and listening to my thoughts, because I'm very young. Sometimes I feel like people don't want to hear what I have to say because I'm so young. I just recently turned 22 a week ago. So
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
If you didn't continuously say you were young, I wouldn't have known. So, live in that, right? You don't have to preface it with "you're young." This is just Cherie giving you some advice, because the things that you say are so mature that I wouldn't have known. I'm sure Mocha Mommy wouldn't have known unless, she's had some previous interaction with you. So just keep doing what you're doing, and 22, you got your whole life ahead of you. So, Mocha Mommy, your thoughts?
I just want to say thank you to all you fantastic content creators. You had Leveled Up Single Woman here, and you just had some good content creators, Fine Womanhood, that are in the chat, and it just goes to show you, the village that you built. You have a lot of quality women who come to your channel, and you really do. You have built a great platform here, and I just want to say, just to keep moving forward, because the opportunity is there, and you ladies will be surprised how many other people like your content, like, Brown Skin Girl, your Scrum Master video. My husband loves your Scrum Master video that you play. He's like, she's making it look easy. You try to get a programmer to talk to a tech sales guy and see how well they get along, and blah, 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 blah. And I mean, he talked about that for like a week. So you're doing a good job on your platform with, professional people in the organization. They really like your platform, and so keep it up, please do. And Cherie, thank you so much for just keeping all of us more informed. And again, you wouldn't believe how many people like your channel. My daughter's a high school senior, and there's about 2 or 3 of her classmates who watch your channel because they are curious about money, because they have their own money for the first time. So thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. I can't even believe that. That's like, what? High school students listening to me. So, this is amazing. And I'm going to say, first of all, thank you for a wonderful 2022. I definitely look forward to 2023. Most of you know I'm starting my new job. Actually, it already started part-time the last 2 months, but it's really kicking into gear on January 2nd. So I won't be on YouTube as much during the week because I am focusing 100% on that, 110% on that. But I will be on the weekends. And many of you who do content know how much time it takes to actually pull content together. I probably spend 2 hours putting content together to do a 1-hour stream, because I focus more on quality and on making sure that I'm giving you like different perspectives and research things and things like that. So, because of that, I'm definitely, even with my community posts, they'll be a little bit less frequent, but it's not because I don't love you all or things like that. It's just that this opportunity that I'm getting can get me into upper middle class comfortably and have me with a nice 7-figure net worth in the next 10 years if I'm focused on it and I do what I need to do. And this is saying same thing to you as well. Like whatever it is you are looking to achieve, turn off the YouTube, the 7-hour live streams and all of that, and focus on what you need to focus on, because we're in the fight for resources. We're in the fight for resources. Level Up Single Mom, would the panelists be willing to post their links to their channels? I have no problem with that. So if they want to post the links to their channels, they definitely can, because she's saying she's having trouble searching for some of you. So ladies, definitely put your links in. I have no problem with that. Okay, so thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Share the stream. Mocha Mommy, again, super thank you. We were only supposed to be here an hour and a half. I busted through your time. We were here for 3 hours, but I really, really want to thank you for being my plus one with today's conversation. And I hope you won't be a stranger. Maybe we can get together in the next few months and do something else for the community. So
yeah, absolutely.
All righty then. Thank you, ladies. Happy New Year. Enjoy yourselves. And I will see you all in 2023. God bless you. Night.
Bye, everyone. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy 2023, everyone.